Chapter 3074. Uncle Lan Shu, I would like to know, how did you know that I'm Senior Jing Yu's successor? Lu Ming asked the question that had been bothering him for a long time. He was certain that Lan Shang had seen through his disguise during his battle with Ice Eagle. But how did the other party see through it? Because you cultivate sovereign Ga force, Blue Merchant said with a faint smile. Sovereign Ga force? Lu Ming was puzzled. That's right. There's a trace of Jing Yu's imprint in your sovereign Ga force. Although it's very faint, I've guided Jing Yu's cultivation for many years and know him too well. Therefore, even though there's only a trace of Jing Yu's imprint in your sovereign Ga force, I can still sense it. Other than Jing Yu's successor, who else would have Jing Yu's imprint? Blue Merchant said with a faint smile. Jing Yu's imprint? Lu Ming's mind raced, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Back when he was in the Yellow Springs Mountain, he had studied the Sovereign Dao by looking at Jing Yu's statue. Perhaps that was why his Sovereign Ga force had a trace of Jing Yu's imprint. You were able to obtain Jing Yu's inheritance because you came from the Yellow Springs Mountain sealed land, right? How's the Yellow Springs Mountain now? Lan Shang asked with a complicated look in his eyes. Lu Ming immediately explained what had happened in the Yellow Springs Mountain. Sigh, it's been hard on them. One day, they'll see the light of day again, Blue Merchant said. His eyes shone brightly as he spoke. Uncle Lan Shu, what happened back then? Senior Jing Yu, who did this to you? Lu Ming asked. Blue Merchant shook his head and said, I don't know. What I know is similar to what Jing Yu knows. Back then, Jing Yu was framed and fell. His trusted aides were either killed or sealed. As for me, I was stripped of my authority. Due to some reason, I came to the Nine Extinction Heavenly King residence. Blue Merchant sighed. Many things seemed to have happened back then, and he didn't want to talk about it. Then, his tone changed as he said, Prince Jing Yu must have been framed back then. This matter must be investigated thoroughly. I've promised Senior Jing Yu that I'll investigate this matter and help him reverse the verdict. At that time, I'll have to trouble Uncle Lan Shu to help me, Lu Ming said. Of course, I will do my best to help you. However, now is not the time. There is no need to rush this matter. Your current goal is to increase your strength. Your current strength is still too weak in the Taishu Holy Court, Yifutian said. Lan Shang said. Lu Ming nodded his head but he sighed in his heart. His strength had increased very quickly, faster than most people, but he always felt that his cultivation was not enough. By the way, you said you're from the Qin Tian Star Field. Why did you come to the Starry Camp? Oh, are you going to use the Starry Camp as a springboard to enter the Taishu Imperial Academy? Oh. Then you'll use the Taishu Imperial Academy as your foundation to slowly rise and investigate Prince Jing Yu's case? Blue Merchant suddenly said. Taishu Imperial Academy? Lu Ming was puzzled. You don't know about the Taishu Imperial Academy? Blue Merchant was surprised. I don't know. What does it do? Lu Ming shook his head and asked. The Taishu Imperial Academy is the place where all the sky prides of the Taishu dynasty gathered. Not only all the top sky prides of the Taishu dynasty gathered there, but even the princes and princesses of the Taishu dynasty studied there. That's the place where the Taishu dynasty cultivated their talents. Almost all the big shots of the Taishu dynasty came from the Taishu dynasty. Prince Jing Yu also studied in the Taishu dynasty. But if you want to enter the Taishu dynasty, you'll have to be recommended by the big shots of the Taishu dynasty. Otherwise, you can only enter the starry camp of each heavenly king's mansion. Blue Merchant explained. Lu Ming was suddenly enlightened. He understood now. He had heard from Wu Zifeng and the others that if one wanted to enter the core area of the Taishu dynasty to cultivate, one had to join the Starry Camp first. If one didn't join the Starry Camp, one wouldn't be able to cultivate in the Taishu dynasty. I didn't come to the Starry Camp to enter the Taishu Imperial Academy, Lu Ming said. Then what's your purpose here? Blue Merchant was surprised. It's for the treasure of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King's mansion, the theft of the Nine Extinction Divine Crystal, Lu Ming said. The Nine Extinction Godly Crystal? I've heard about it. How is it? How's your investigation going? Blue Merchant asked. I still don't have a clue. Lu Ming shook his head and briefly recounted what had happened during this period of time. He also said that he suspected that there was evidence in the storage ring of the Dark Night Demon, but he couldn't find it even after searching it many times. There are some ways to seal some evidence very deeply. It's normal that you can't find it. Give me the storage ring of the Dark Night Demon and I'll help you find it. Blue Merchant said. Thank you, Uncle Lan Shu. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He immediately took out the storage ring of the Dark Night Demon and gave it to Blue Merchant. Blue Merchant was Jing Yu's teacher. His cultivation was unfathomable and he was knowledgeable. He might be able to find evidence. If he could find evidence and find the person who colluded with the Dark Ice race to steal the 9 Extinction Divine Crystal, the safety of the Qin Tian Star Zone would be solved. Blue Merchant took the storage ring and put it away. By the way, there's one more thing. Lan Shan's tone suddenly changed. He coughed dryly and said, When Jingyu was still alive, I made an agreement with him that if we had descendants in the future, if they were of the same gender, we would become brothers or sisters. If they were of the opposite gender, we would become husband and wife. Later, Jingyu died and didn't have any descendants. As Jingyu's successor, you are equivalent to his descendant. I will definitely fulfill my promise and marry Linger to you. Ah? Lu Ming was caught off guard. He didn't expect Blue Merchant to mention this. Uncle Lan Shu, you can't do that. I've only met Miss Lan Ling once, no, twice. Isn't it too hasty to marry her to me? Lu Ming waved his hand. That's easy. You can move in together and spend more time together. You'll be familiar with each other in the future. Blue Merchant smiled. He was very open-minded. No, Uncle Lan Shu. To be honest, I already have a wife. Lu Ming said. It's okay. It's normal for a man to have multiple wives. Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming was speechless. Blue Merchant was very open-minded. He was pushing his daughter into the fire pit. However, Lu Ming had Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon. In addition, he had Mulins and Huang Ling, 2 confidants. He already had enough headaches. He didn't want another one. Moreover, when he thought of Lan Ling's murderous expression, Lu Ming refused even more. Living with Lan Ling? What a joke. He wouldn't even know when he was killed by her. Uncle Lan Shu, no, still no. Lu Ming still shook his head. Why? Do you think my daughter is not worthy of you? Blue Merchant's face sank and said coldly. Chapter 3075. How could that be? Miss Linger is as beautiful as a fairy. How could she not be worthy of me? It's just that Miss Linger wants to kill me. Lu Ming began to complain. Wants to kill you? Blue Merchant was slightly taken aback. Then, he smiled bitterly and said, This girl is really rebellious. Then, Blue Merchant frowned and fell into deep thought. Lu Ming secretly prayed that Blue Merchant would give up on the idea of marrying Lan Ling to him. Although Lan Ling was an outstanding beauty and any man would be moved by her, Lu Ming knew that he didn't have the fortune to be with her bad temper. After a while, Blue Merchant said, How about this? I won't make things difficult for you. I'll let Linger stay by your side for 1,000 years and let you develop feelings for each other. If after 1,000 years, you still don't want to marry each other, then this matter will be dropped. This isn't too good. Lu Ming's face immediately turned bitter. Let Lan Ling, that crazy woman, stay by his side for 1,000 years? What a joke. At the thought of this, Lu Ming felt a headache coming. What's not good about it? Feelings need to be developed. You're afraid that Ling will make a move on you again. Don't worry, I'll warn her properly. In addition, Linger's talent is not bad. If you two are together, you can take care of each other and help Jingyu reverse the case. This matter is settled. Blue Merchant waved his hand and settled this matter. This. Lu Ming was completely speechless. Haha, that's it. Lu Ming, go out and wait for me. I'll call Linger in and give her a good scolding. Lan Shang laughed out loud. He laughed like a sly old fox. Lu Ming despised him in his heart. This blue merchant looked gentle on the surface, but in fact, he was scheming in his heart. He wanted to set him up with Lan Ling. He believed that with Lan Ling's beauty, staying with Lu Ming every day, they would definitely develop feelings for each other. This old man must have taken a fancy to my talent. Sigh, there's nothing I can do about it. Who asked me to be so talented and handsome? There's really nothing I can do about it. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. If Blue Merchant knew what Lu Ming was thinking, he would probably spit out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming walked out of the courtyard and saw Lan Ling. He said to Lan Ling, "Your father is looking for you." Humph. Lan Ling coldly snorted and walked into the courtyard without looking at Lu Ming. Lu Ming waited in the garden. Not long after, he saw Blue Merchant and Lan Ling walking out together. Lan Ling's eyes were red. When she saw Lu Ming, she glared hatefully at Lu Ming. She wished she could eat Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I'll tell Linger to inform you about the matter of the evidence after I find it. Now I'll let Linger send you back. Linger, send Lu Ming off. Blue Merchant instructed. Lan Ling gritted her teeth and walked unwillingly to Lu Ming's side. She said coldly, "Let's go." Lu Ming smiled bitterly. It seemed that Lan Ling was really reprimanded by Blue Merchant. It seemed that her resentment towards him was even heavier. "Uncle Lan Shu, goodbye." Lu Ming cupped his fists. Then, he stepped into the air and flew towards his own courtyard. Lan Ling walked side by side with Lu Ming with a cold face. After a while, they were far away from Blue Merchant's residence. "Lu Ming, what did you say to my father?" Suddenly, Lan Ling spoke. Her voice was cold as she glared at Lu Ming. "No, I didn't say anything," Lu Ming said. Of course, he had to deny it. "You didn't say anything? Then why would my father reprimand me? You're a man, but you actually snitched in front of my father. You're really shameless," Lan Ling said hatefully. Lu Ming was speechless. He felt wronged in his heart. It was the other party who wanted to kill him as soon as they met. Couldn't he say anything? Humph. Letcher, you already have a woman by your side. You still want me to follow you? Shameless, despicable. Lan Ling continued to scold. Lu Ming almost coughed up blood. What did she mean by him wanting Lan Ling to follow him? It was clearly Blue Merchant who forced her to follow him, okay? Don't talk nonsense. It was your father who forced you to follow me for 1,000 years. I originally refused. Lu Ming quickly denied. You mean to say that no one wants me and it was my father who forced me to follow you? Am I trying to climb up your social ladder? Lan Ling's face turned colder. Lu Ming almost coughed up blood. How could this woman's imagination be so wild? He didn't mean that. It's fine if you want to follow me for 1,000 years, but it depends on whether you have the ability or not. If you can survive 3 of my moves, I'll follow you for 1,000 years. Suddenly, Lan Ling's voice turned cold. A cold, murderous intent shrouded Lu Ming. Lu Ming frowned. He felt that Lan Ling really wanted to kill him. She wanted to use this reason to kill him. However, that was then and this was now. Lu Ming's current strength was many times stronger than when he first met Lan Ling. Come on, let me have a taste of your moves. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold. He had already given way many times, but Lan Ling was still pressing on. Lu Ming was also angry. Clang! The long sword was unsheathed and the sword's cry was earth-shattering. First move! Lan Ling's voice had just sounded when a terrifying sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. Its power was extremely shocking. This move could even kill a half-step divine king who hadn't awakened his divine origin power. Lan Ling attacked without mercy. Boom! Lu Ming's body also erupted with a powerful aura. A long spear appeared in his hand and he swung it out. Clang! The long spear collided with the sword light, erupting with a violent rumble. Terrifying force chi spread out in all directions like a storm. When the force chi dissipated, Lu Ming and Lan Ling's bodies stood in the void motionlessly. Turns out that he already awakened his divine origin power. Lan Ling's gaze sharpened, revealing a look of surprise. She did not expect that Lu Ming only had 6th level celestial deity cultivation, and he already awakened his divine origin power. Wait a minute, 6th level celestial deity. Lan Ling thought of something and secretly revealed a look of surprise. She remembered very clearly that back then at Star Moon Ancient City, Lu Ming's cultivation was only 4th level celestial deity. Just how long had it been? Lu Ming actually broke through 2 rounds in a row and reached 6th level celestial deity. This speed was also too fast. He must have had a fortuitous encounter in Star Moon Ancient City. Otherwise, it's absolutely impossible to be so fast by relying on his own cultivation. Lan Ling's heart skipped a beat. She did not guess wrong about this. Lu Ming did have a fortuitous encounter. Otherwise, it was absolutely impossible for his cultivation to rise so quickly. One move, Lu Ming said indifferently. Originally, he could have purposely lost to the other party. Then, Lan Ling would not have to follow by his side. However, Lu Ming also had his pride. He wanted to teach Lan Ling a lesson now. Naturally, he would not give in. Humph, don't think that you can stop me just because you've awakened your divine origin power. Lan Ling snorted coldly. The aura on her body became even stronger. Her strength was pushed to the extreme by her. Buzz! A sword shadow that was tens of thousands of meters long continuously shook the void. Then, it slashed down violently at Lu Ming with terrifying might. Chapter 3076. Lan Ling pushed her cultivation base to the maximum and slashed out a terrifying attack. Lan Ling's cultivation base was extremely high. She was only half a step away from the Divine King realm. It seemed like she could break through to the Divine King realm at any time. Moreover, her strength was extremely strong. She was even stronger than when she was in Xingyue Ancient City. Lu Ming felt that she was stronger than Jin Yuan, and not any weaker than Chu Baxing. Obviously, Lu Ming wasn't the only one who had improved in Xingyue Ancient City. Others had improved as well. Moon slashing! Lu Ming roared and instantly activated the battle character secret art to increase his combat strength by 4 times. He then slashed out with his spear. A crescent-shaped spear light slashed towards Lan Ling. Boom! The second collision caused an even more shocking shockwave. Fortunately, the 2 of them were already high up in the sky. Otherwise, the entire starry sky barracks would be alarmed by them. There was still no clear winner in this collision. The second move, Lu Ming said indifferently. Lan Ling's face turned even uglier. The sword intent on her body was getting stronger and stronger. Divine sword art, kill! Lan Ling shouted as she waved her battle sword, unleashing countless sword shadows and sword intents. Each of the sword intents were over 10,000 meters long. The entire void was filled with the shadows of her swords. Then, countless sword shadows slashed towards Lu Ming with boundless power. If Lu Ming hadn't broken through to the 6th heaven god realm, Lu Ming would have had to transform into a green-armored ancient god to block this move. But now, Lu Ming didn't need to do that. Divine Dragon Image Ice Chain. With a thought, Lu Ming cast the 2 secret skills of the Divine Dragon Dharma characteristic and the Ice Chain. Asterisk roar. Asterisk a series of dragon cries echoed in the sky. 9 nine-clawed divine dragons flew out and pounced toward the sword shadows that filled the sky. At the same time, 9 ice chains danced around Lu Ming's body like ice dragons. The terrifying coldness almost froze the space around them. Chunks of ice appeared in the air. Boom! Boom! The divine dragon Dharma idol bore the brunt of the attack. It collided with the sword shadows in the sky, causing explosions. However, the 9 divine dragon Dharma idols soon crumbled under the onslaught of sword shadows. Then, the sword shadows slashed at the ice chains, shattering countless ice cubes and causing the ice chains to shake violently. Break the sky! Break the sky! Lu Ming's long spear continued to thrust out. Spear lights flew out like meteors and collided with Lan Ling's sword shadows. The void continued to rumble. After a few minutes, the collision finally stopped. Lu Ming had retreated 1,000 meters, but his breathing was steady. He had successfully blocked Lan Ling's sword shadow. Lan Ling's eyes widened in disbelief. Back in Xingyue Ancient City, Lu Ming could only run for his life when he saw her. He might not even be able to withstand one of her moves. But now, Lu Ming could withstand 3 of her moves. Most importantly, she had already used her ultimate move in her last move. Lu Ming's strength had increased too quickly. 3 moves! Lu Ming said faintly. I don't believe that I can't suppress you today! Lan Ling flew into a rage out of humiliation. She shouted and released a terrifying aura. She was about to charge at Lu Ming again. Now it's my turn! Lu Ming's gaze turned cold as he cast the 9 Heavens Kunping technique. In a flash, he dashed toward Lan Ling. In the process, his body swelled rapidly and he transformed into a green-armored ancient god. Whoosh! The green-armored ancient god was a few hundred meters tall. Compared to him, Lan Ling was like an ant. Lu Ming opened one of his big hands and grabbed Lan Ling. The sky rumbled as his palm reached out. It was extremely terrifying. Divine sword skill, slash! 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 Lan Ling shouted. Her sword shadow soared into the sky and slashed at Lu Ming's palm. However, Lu Ming controlled the ice chain and wrapped his palm to strengthen his defense. With the ice chain and the green scales of the green-armored ancient god as a double defense, Lu Ming was not afraid of Lan Ling's sword shadow at all. Under the big hand, Lan Ling's sword shadow crumbled. Lan Ling's expression changed. She wanted to retreat, but it was too late. The big hand grabbed Lan Ling. Lan Ling struggled desperately, but Lu Ming controlled his divine power and poured it into Lan Ling's body. Lan Ling gasped and felt that the divine power in her body was almost shattered. She felt weak all over. In this way, she was firmly controlled by Lu Ming and could not resist. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, he could completely suppress Lan Ling after transforming into a green-armored ancient god. After controlling Lan Ling, Lu Ming's body quickly shrank and turned back to normal. He trapped Lan Ling with an ice chain. Let me go! Let me go! Lan Ling shouted and struggled frantically, but it was useless. She could not break free at all. Let you go! You tried to kill me again and again in Star Crescent Ancient City. I saved you later, but you tried to kill me again just now. Tell me, do you think I will let you go? Lu Ming sneered and walked step by step to Lan Ling's side. Then, what do you want to do? Lan Ling gritted her teeth and said. What do I want to do? What do you think? Lu Ming laughed and looked at Lan Ling's body. You, pervert, don't even think about it. Let me tell you, my father is definitely watching us. Do you dare? Lan Ling shouted. Your father? Your father can't wait for me to do you on the spot, Lu Ming said indifferently. On Star Peak, in Blue Merchant's courtyard, Blue Merchant had just taken a sip of tea and spat it out. This little guy, what are you talking about? Blue Merchant muttered, feeling a little embarrassed. That's right, everything that happened between Lu Ming and Lan Ling was under Blue Merchant's attention. However, Lu Ming was right. If Lu Ming really wanted to do Lan Ling, he would be more than happy to do so. You nonsense! Lan Ling stared at Lu Ming with hatred. But don't worry, I'm not interested in you, Lu Ming said indifferently, causing Lan Ling to grit her teeth. For some reason, she felt uncomfortable in her heart. Lu Ming was not interested in her? Was her attractiveness that bad? It had to be said that women had strange thoughts. However, punishment is unavoidable. If I don't teach you a lesson, I'll feel uncomfortable. Lu Ming smiled, then took a step forward, stretched out his hand, and slapped Lan Ling's perky butt. Slap! A crisp sound could be heard. Lan Ling's body stiffened all of a sudden. The expression on her face was also like that of a person, staring blankly at Lu Ming. What are you looking at? The feeling is not bad, again. After saying that, Lu Ming slapped her again. Slap! Another crisp sound was heard. This time, Lan Ling finally reacted, and a scream was heard in the sky. Lu Ming, I'm going to kill you! Lan Ling's face was red, even her ears and neck were red. She bared her fangs and brandished her claws, wishing that she could tear Lu Ming into pieces. You're still so fierce. Seems like I haven't taught you a lesson yet again. Lu Ming continued to slap her. Slap. 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 This time, 3 consecutive sounds were heard, causing Lan Ling's body to stiffen completely. Her face was so red that it was about to bleed. Chapter 3077. After being slapped by Lu Ming 3 times in a row, Lan Ling's face and neck turned red as if blood was about to drip out. Her body trembled slightly, and her eyes were wide open. She wished she could eat Lu Ming. Lu Ming. You still dare to stare? Try staring again. Lu Ming curled his lips. Lan Ling was still glaring at him. Sigh, it doesn't feel good to hit you through your pants. Take them off and hit me. Lu Ming waved his hand and muttered. Lan Ling didn't dare to stare at him anymore. She cried out. No, don't. When she thought that Lu Ming was really going to take off his pants, she really wanted to die. You're finally begging for mercy. Come, tell me. Do you still dare to hit or kill me when you see me in the future? Lu Ming asked. No, I don't dare anymore. Under Lu Ming's abuse, Lan Ling finally gave in. Although she wanted to chop Lu Ming into pieces, she really didn't dare to be brave under such circumstances. Until now, her father, Blue Merchant, hadn't appeared. She knew that Blue Merchant deliberately didn't appear. He wanted to matchmake her and Lu Ming. She couldn't count on Blue Merchant. She felt like crying. How could a father be like this? He couldn't wait to marry her to someone else. It wasn't like no one wanted her. That's more like it. Behave yourself in the future. I, Lu Ming, am also a gentleman. I won't make things difficult for you. Lu Ming chuckled. With a wave of his hand, the ice shackles were put away. After all, Lan Ling was Blue Merchant's daughter. It was fine to teach her a lesson, but it wouldn't be good to go too far. Lan Ling gritted her teeth. She despised Lu Ming and scolded Lu Ming thousands of times in her heart. How could a person like Lu Ming have the nerve to call himself a gentleman? However, Lan Ling didn't dare to make a move now. Because she was no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I'll remember this. When I break through to the Divine King realm, I'll definitely get back at you. Lan Ling swore in her heart. Let's go, Lu Ming said. He stepped into the air and continued to head toward the courtyard where he was staying. Lan Ling followed behind him obediently. In Blue Merchant's courtyard. Hee, they're starting to flirt, a good sign. Lan Shang let out a few sneaky laughs. If Lan Ling saw Lan Shang's expression, she would probably vomit blood. Not long after, Lu Ming and Lan Ling arrived outside Lu Ming's courtyard. Young master! In the courtyard, Autumn Moon was practicing her sword. When she saw Lu Ming, she immediately flew out. Autumn Moon, how's your cultivation going? Lu Ming greeted her with a smile. I'm much more familiar with it. I believe I'll be able to fully control it soon. This lady is... Autumn Moon looked at Lan Ling. Autumn Moon recognized Lan Ling. When they left Xingyue Ancient City, Lan Ling had been staring coldly at Lu Ming. Autumn Moon even teased Lu Ming. Now that she saw Lu Ming and Lan Ling returning together, she was naturally curious. I'm Lan Ling! Before Lu Ming could speak, Lan Ling stepped out and said coldly. Then she stared at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, I can follow you. But you must chase her away. After saying that, she pointed at Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon was slightly stunned and revealed a curious look. Lu Ming frowned. Are you crazy? Autumn Moon is my wife. Why should I chase her away? Because she's your wife. That's why you want to chase her away. Lan Ling gritted her teeth. You're crazy. If you don't want to come, then leave. Lu Ming waved his hand and ignored Lan Ling clang. Lan Ling unsheathed her sword. A powerful aura pressed down on Autumn Moon. Boom! Lu Ming stepped out and the void shook. The powerful aura directly defeated Lan Ling's aura. Seems like I haven't taught you a lesson yet. Lu Ming stared at Lan Ling, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. He didn't care much about attacking him. But to attack Autumn Moon, that was unacceptable. No matter who the other party was, he wouldn't go easy on them. Seeing Lu Ming's expression, Lan Ling was shocked. But as stubborn as she was, she wouldn't back down. Lu Ming, you have to understand what you're going to do in the future. You're going to do great things. The enemies you're going to face are extremely powerful. So, the people around you can't be useless. They can't be a burden to you. Do you understand? Lan Ling said coldly. Her meaning was obvious. Autumn Moon wasn't qualified to stay by Lu Ming's side. Get lost. Go back and tell Blue Merchant that I don't need you here. Lu Ming shouted coldly. Lu Ming, you! Lan Ling was furious. Since young, no one had treated her like this. She was an outstanding beauty. Any man who saw her would be obedient to her. Lu Ming was an exception. Young master, since this lady wants to test Autumn Moon's strength, let her try. At this moment, Autumn Moon spoke. She stepped out and landed in front of Lu Ming. Autumn Moon was actually arrogant. It was just that she kept her arrogance in front of Lu Ming. But that didn't mean that others could humiliate her and look down on her. Especially in front of Lu Ming. They thought that she wasn't qualified to stay by Lu Ming's side. So, Autumn Moon decided to make a move. Lu Ming's eyes flashed, but he didn't stop her. He naturally understood Autumn Moon's temper. Moreover, Autumn Moon was no longer the same as before. If they fought, she might not lose to Lan Ling. All right, be careful then, Lu Ming reminded. And Autumn Moon nodded. She faced Lan Ling and said, Lady, please make your move. Just do your best. Very good. Then let me see how capable the woman that Lu Ming likes is. Lan Ling gritted her teeth and unleashed her cultivation to the extreme. She didn't know why, but when she saw that Lu Ming treated Autumn Moon so well, she felt an inexplicable discomfort in her heart. She couldn't wait to defeat Autumn Moon and prove that she was stronger than Autumn Moon. Swoosh! Lan Ling made her move. A sword shadow slashed out violently, causing the air to explode. However, at the instant when Lan Ling made her move, Autumn Moon also made her move. Autumn Moon's weapon was a scimitar. When the scimitar slashed out, the blade light was as dazzling as the moon. Clang! The blade light and the sword shadow slashed together, causing endless blade light and sword light. After a loud sound, the two figures retreated more than 10 steps. The two of them were evenly matched in the first exchange. Autumn Moon was still fine, but Lan Ling's eyes were filled with shock. She had never expected Autumn Moon to be so powerful. Autumn Moon was only a 9th-level heavenly god. Not only had she awakened the origin source divine power, but she could also block her attack. This aroused her competitiveness even more. Again! Lan Ling shouted. She circulated her divine power to the extreme and performed her ultimate move, the divine sword art. Swoosh! 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 Terrifying sword shadows burst out one after another, slashing toward Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon let out a long roar. 9 colored lights spread out from her body and combined with her blade technique, turning into rays of blade light to counterattack. The intense battle between the two peerless beauties in the air immediately alarmed the people in the other courtyards. Chapter 3078. Many figures flew out from the courtyards. When they saw the battle between Autumn Moon and Lan Ling, they were dumbfounded. The battle between the two beauties was not only pleasing to the eye, but also terrifying. Nestle, such terrifying strength! Origin Divine Force Factor. Both of them have awakened their Origin Divine Force Factor. Gosh, aren't they too powerful? Who are they? They're so beautiful. I know, it's a woman who seems to be the new member, Lu Ming. She entered Xingyue Ancient City and passed the Gate of Heaven. It can't be, she was only a level 2 heavenly god then. Now she's a level 9 heavenly god. How did she cultivate? What a monster! Without a doubt, Chiu Yu's cultivation shocked everyone. It was truly shocking. Some even suspected that Autumn Moon had cultivated some kind of cultivation technique to hide her cultivation. When she entered Xingyue ancient city, she had hidden her cultivation. Above Star Peak, in a place closer to the peak of Star Peak, there were some courtyards where the prodigies of the Starry Sky Camp lived. However, the cultivation of these geniuses was even more terrifying. Many of them had reached the Divine King realm. They were the most terrifying group of geniuses in the Starry Camp. However, these people were also shocked. They flew out of their courtyards and watched from afar. "What a beautiful woman! She's so powerful!" These people were shocked when they saw it. They were a great threat to them since they had such strength below the Divine King realm. Clang! 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 Autumn Moon and Lan Ling were still fighting. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged more than 100 blows. Although Autumn Moon's cultivation was weaker, only at level 9 Heavenly God, she had mastered many kinds of divine force, which made up for her lack of cultivation. However, Chiu Yu's understanding of divine skills was not as good as Lan Ling's. However, Chiu Yu had the 9 orifices Sacred Heart's 9-colored divine light, which would greatly increase Chiu Yu's attacking power. For a moment, the two of them were evenly matched. Autumn Moon was not very familiar with the control of divine power. As the battle progressed, Autumn Moon became more and more familiar with the control of divine power. He became more and more adept at using it, and his strength also became stronger. In the end, Mid-Autumn Moon slowly gained the upper hand. How could this be? At this moment, Lan Ling was extremely shocked. Autumn Moon's strength was beyond her expectations. Not only could she fight with her, but she also had the upper hand. What hurt her the most was that Chiu Autumn Moon's cultivation base was only at the 9th level of the celestial god realm. Lan Ling had always been invincible among those at the same level as her. There were very few who could fight with her at the same level, not to mention those whose cultivation was lower than her. Her self-confidence had suffered a severe blow. God-killing light! Suddenly, Autumn Moon muttered and unleashed the light of destruction. Autumn Moon infused the light of destruction onto her curved blade and slashed out. Clang! The slash landed on Lan Ling's battle sword, causing it to tremble violently. The sword chi on it was dispersed. Lan Ling's delicate body trembled and she was sent flying. She only managed to stop after flying for 10,000 meters. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. "You've lost!" Autumn Moon did not continue to pursue. She stood in the air and spoke in a clear voice. Lan Ling's face was extremely ugly. She bit her lips and tears welled up in her eyes. She had previously doubted that Autumn Moon was qualified to be by Lu Ming's side. Reality had proven that Autumn Moon was more qualified than her. "I've lost, but I'll definitely defeat you in the future," Lan Ling said before turning around to leave. She was too ashamed to stay any longer. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief when Lan Ling left. If Lan Ling insisted on staying in his courtyard, he would have a headache. "Young master, it seems like there's another pretty lady who has her eyes on you." Autumn Moon came to Lu Ming's side and smiled. "Why? Are you jealous?" Lu Ming teased. Autumn Moon blushed and said, "No way. Young master is so outstanding. There must be a lot of girls who like you. As long as Autumn Moon can be by young master's side, I'll be satisfied." Lu Ming felt warm in his heart. He held Autumn Moon's hand and walked into the courtyard. After that, it was another battle. After that, Lan Ling did not come again. Lu Ming was happy to be free. He went into seclusion to cultivate and comprehend the Overlord's spear art. In the east of the Starry Camp, there was a place filled with divine energy. Many luxurious palaces were built in this place. This place was the headquarters of the Jin family in the 9-extinction Heavenly King residence. In one of the palaces, the head of the Jin family and a few other experts of the Jin family were discussing something. The atmosphere in the palaces was tense. The head of the Jin family was emitting a cold aura. "I've only been in seclusion for a while, and such a big thing happened. Tell me, who killed Jin Xing? Who has the guts to kill the genius of the Jin family?" The head of the Jin family said in a low voice. His voice seemed to contain a terrifying storm. "Jin Xing, as one of the 4 heroes of the Jin family, had a bright future. But now, he was killed in the starry camp. It would be strange if he was not angry. In front of the head of the Jin family, the proud Jin Yuan did not even dare to breathe loudly. Head of the Jin family, the one who killed Jin Xing is someone called Lu Ming. Jin Yuan answered honestly. Lu Ming? Which force is he from? The 9 Extinction Heavenly King residents, not the Lu family. The head of the Jin family asked. He's not from any family. He's from the Qin Tian Star Field. Jin Yuan said. How could someone from the Qin Tian Star Field kill Jin Xing? And why didn't you kill that kid to avenge Jin Xing's death? The head of the Jin family stared coldly at Jin Yuan. Jin Yuan trembled and broke out in cold sweat. He answered honestly. Head of the Jin family, I'm not his match. You're not his match? There's such a powerful genius in the Qin Tian Star Field? The head of the Jin family was slightly surprised. He's a monster. He's only a level 5 heavenly god, but his combat strength is ridiculously strong. Not only did he defeat me, but he also defeated the other geniuses of the heavenly god mansion and obtained a treasure. Jin Yuan immediately told the head of the Jin family about what had happened in the Starry Crescent ancient city. I can't believe such a thing happened. The head of the Jin family and the other experts of the Jin family were stunned when they heard the story. They were really shocked. Monster. He must be a monster with great luck. If we offend someone like him, we must get rid of him. The head of the Jin family said coldly. But he's staying in the Starry Camp. It's not easy to kill him. An elder of the Jin family frowned. Head of the family, elder, this Lu Ming is close to the Wu family. In the Starry Crescent ancient city, the young master of the winged men, Yi Xiang, offended Lu Ming. Lu Ming has been trying to kill Yi Xiang. During this period, he has been asking the Wu family to gather information about Yi Xiang. This might be a chance. Jin Yuan's eyes turned and suggested. The head of the Jin family's eyes lit up and said, You mean you want to use Yi Xiang to lure Lu Ming out? Chapter 3079. You want to use Yi Xiang to lure Lu Ming out? The Jin family's patriarch stared at Lu Ming. R? A? N W? N? W? 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 R? A? N? W? E? Nasi? O? M? That's right. If Lu Ming wants to kill Yi Xiang, he will definitely leave the interstellar barracks. At that time, we can arrange a few scapegoats and have a reason to kill him. Jin Yuan replied, his eyes flashing with cold killing intent. All right, let's do that. The Jin family's patriarch laughed. Patriarch, that Lu Ming has also killed a few of the Qin family's sky prides. For this matter, we can drag the Qin family into this. Jin Yuan said. I understand. I will go to the Winged Man clan now. You go and invite the experts of the Qin family to discuss this. In the end, the Jin family's patriarch ordered an elder of the Jin family. The elder of the Jin family received the order and rushed to the Qin family. As for the Jin family's patriarch, he rushed to the Winged Man clan. In fact, a storm had been brewing in the Qin family for the past 2 days. A few of the Qin family's sky prides had died in Lu Ming's hands. The higher-ups of the Qin family were furious and wanted to deal with Lu Ming. The arrival of the Jin family naturally hit it off. Immediately, the Qin family's patriarch rushed to the Winged Man clan to discuss how to deal with Lu Ming. In the main hall of the Winged Man clan, the experts of the 3 major clans gathered together to discuss how to deal with the junior. What's your plan? The Winged Man clan's patriarch stared at the Jin family's patriarch and asked. Let Yi Xiang leave the Winged Man clan and walk outside. It's best if he stays in a crowded place and lure Lu Ming to kill him. Once he kills someone, we will have 100 reasons to kill him. Even the interstellar barracks won't be able to protect him. The Jin family's patriarch said coldly. Bang! The Winged Person clan's clan head slammed the table heavily. He stared at the Jin clan's clan head with an unfriendly gaze and said, You mean to say that you want to sacrifice my son Yi Xiang, and let Lu Ming kill him? Haha, brother Yi, you've misunderstood. Of course not. Young Master Yi Xiang is only bait. You can arrange for experts to protect him and then arrange for a few unimportant people to be killed by Lu Ming. Wouldn't that be enough? The head of the Jing family laughed. That's more like it. That brat is bent on killing my son. He should be eliminated as soon as possible. The head of the Winged Man clan nodded. Immediately, the heads of the three aristocratic families began to discuss the specifics. Lu Ming was completely unaware of all of this. In the following 10-odd days, Lu Ming wholeheartedly comprehended the Overlord's spear art, and finally made great progress. The first stage of the Overlord's spear art had been successfully cultivated by him. Next, he just needed to slowly nurture it. Then, Lu Ming took out the God of War strike and studied it carefully. At this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed. He ended his comprehension and a sound transmission jade talisman appeared in his hand. Just now, he felt that someone had sent him a message, so he ended his cultivation. There's news about Yi Xiang. Lu Ming scanned the sound transmission jade talisman with his spiritual sense, and his eyes lit up. The one who sent him the message was Wu Ming. Previously, he had asked Wu Ming and the others to inquire about Yi Xiang's whereabouts. Now, he finally got the news. Lu Ming left the courtyard. As expected, he saw Wu Ming, Wu Yu, and Wu Zixiong outside the door. Brothers Wu, where is Yi Xiang? Has he returned to the Starry Sky camp? Lu Ming asked. No. Wu Ming shook his head and said, We found out that Yi Xiang had been holed up in the Winged Person clan for some time. However, he left the Winged Person clan 7 or 8 days ago and has been active in the Soaring Cloud region. The Soaring Cloud region? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. After arriving at the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Manor, Lu Ming naturally did some research on the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Manor. The entire planet was the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Manor. It was extremely vast. However, it was also divided into different regions. For example, the core region of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Manor and the various aristocratic families' headquarters. Other than that, there were some regions where ordinary people gathered or where commercial areas were for consumption. The Soaring Cloud region was a commercial area. There were restaurants, markets, auction houses, brothels, and everything that one could think of. It was extremely prosperous. It was also the region with the most people. Brother Lu, that Yi Xiang had been holed up in the Winged Person clan and did not dare to come out. Then, he suddenly appeared in the Soaring Cloud region and swaggered in and out of various restaurants and brothels. I'm afraid that there's a trap here. We can't act rashly, Wu Zixiong said with a frown. Lu Ming nodded. He had also thought of this point. He wanted to kill Yi Xiang. However, Lu Ming had quite a number of enemies. Perhaps, the other party wanted to kill him too. However, it would be difficult for the other party to make a move in the Starry Sky camp. Perhaps, the other party wanted to lure him out before killing him. Lu Ming's mind was spinning rapidly as he thought of a countermeasure. He definitely had to kill Yi Xiang. If he did not kill him, he would not be able to calm down. However, it would depend on how he killed him. How about this? Let's wait a little longer and observe the situation first, Lu Ming said. He was not an impulsive person. Even if he knew that there might be a trap, he would still kill his way in. That's for the best. If there's anything, we'll inform you immediately, Wu Ming said. Thank you very much. Lu Ming cupped his fists and thanked them. You don't have to stand on ceremony. Lu Ming, the family head of the Wu family, already knows about your matter. He said that if you need any help, feel free to ask. The Wu family will definitely do our best to help, Wu Zixiong said. Wu family's patriarch. Lu Ming was slightly stunned. He did not expect that his matter would reach the ears of the Wu family's patriarch. Perhaps, Wu Zifeng had contributed to this. Everyone, please help me thank the Wu family's patriarch. If Lu Ming needs help, I won't be courteous. Lu Ming smiled. Subsequently, Wu Ming and the rest bade farewell. After Wu Ming and the rest left, Lu Ming was about to return to his room. From the direction of the star peak, a figure stepped on the air and flew over. If it wasn't Lan Ling, who else could it be? Why are you here again? Didn't I teach you a lesson last time? Lu Ming glanced at Lan Ling and said coldly. You. Lan Ling was so angry that her chest heaved up and down. She had never been so unwelcome before. Lu Ming, do you think I want to come? It's my father who wants to see you. Lan Ling gritted her teeth and said. Senior Blue Merchant, could it be? Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. Could it be that Blue Merchant had found a clue from the Dark Night Devil's storage ring? I've already sent the message. It's up to you whether you want to come or not. After Lan Ling finished speaking, she turned around and left like a proud swan. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He could not be bothered with Lan Ling and followed after her. Soon, Lu Ming came to the Blue Merchant's courtyard for the second time. Senior, did you ask me to come here because you have a clue about the 9 extinction divine crystal? As soon as he saw Blue Merchant, Lu Ming couldn't wait to ask. Yes, I have a clue. Lan Shang smiled faintly and said, Dark Night Devil King, sealing a projection into an ordinary divine artifact. That's a good method. After saying that, a simple and unadorned axe appeared in his hand. This axe was only an ordinary high-grade divine artifact. Sealed in this axe? Lu Ming was surprised. P.S. Readers, I'm the shepherd boy Ting Zhu. I recommend a free app that supports downloading, listening to books, 0 ads, and multiple reading modes. Chapter 3080. Looking at the axe in Blue Merchant's hand, Lu Ming was surprised. W? R? N? Waynacom, this was indeed an axe from the Eventide Demon King's storage ring. Lu Ming had checked it a few times before, but he did not find anything. Look, Blue Merchant said. Then, the axe floated in the air. Blue Merchant's fingers kept drawing runes and they flew into the axe. Buzz! The axe vibrated slightly, and runes appeared on its surface. The runes on the axe intertwined and radiated light. The light formed a projection in the air. That's the Dark Night Demon King and the Dark Ice Tribe! Lu Ming saw the figure of the Eventide Demon on the projection at one glance. There were a few figures beside the Dark Night Demon King. They were from the Dark Ice Tribe. Lu Ming had seen the Dark Ice Tribe before. Hence, he could recognize them at a glance. However, both the Dark Night Demon King and the Dark Ice race were very respectful to these figures. Those figures were covered in black robes and their faces could not be seen clearly. This time, we will arrange it well. We will hide the 9 Jews' sacred crystal with the Dark Ice Tribe, one of the black-robed figures said. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. They were indeed discussing how to steal the 9 Jews' sacred crystal. The members of the Dark Ice race and the Dark Night Devil bowed to him. The few of them discussed for a while, and it was all about the specific matters of stealing the 9 extinction divine crystal. Unfortunately, from beginning to end, they didn't know the identities of the few black-robed people. The 9 Jews' sacred crystal is with the Dark Ice Tribe. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he was delighted. Although he did not know who was in cahoots with the Dark Ice Tribe, he had finally found the whereabouts of the 9 Jews' sacred crystal. As long as he destroyed the Dark Ice Tribe and took back the 9 Jews' sacred crystal, the Qing Tian territory would be safe. Lu Ming, what are you going to do? Blue Merchant asked. What am I going to do? Of course, I will take this projection and make it public, Lu Ming said. That's easy. Maybe we can plan to lure out the forces that are in cahoots with the Dark Ice Tribe and kill them all, Blue Merchant said with a smile. Lure out the mastermind? I want to do that too. But what can we do? Lu Ming asked. Well, you'll have to figure it out yourself. I'm just suggesting. Lan Shang chuckled. He was simply like an old fox. Lu Ming was speechless. However, his eyes lit up the next moment as he thought of a solution. When Lu Ming first came to the Ningzhu Heavenly King Mansion, he was intercepted by a group of people. Now that he thought about it, the other party must have guessed that there was evidence in the storage ring of the Dark Night Demon King. However, they probably did not know what the evidence is Jews Jew. Perhaps they didn't know that the evidence left by the Night Devil only exposed the dark ice race, but not the person behind it. The Dark Night Demon King was in a hurry to kill Lu Ming and take away the evidence. Based on that, he could use the evidence to lure the Dark Night Demon King out or blackmail the Dark Night Demon King into admitting it himself. Moreover, Lu Ming suspected that the mastermind might be the Jing family or the Qing family. Since Lu Ming came to the Starry Camp, he was targeted by the two families. They wanted to kill him. Maybe they wanted to kill him and take away the Dark Night Demon King's Ju. Then maybe I can make use of Yi Xiang's incident. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Yi Xiang suddenly swaggered outside. Lu Ming suspected that he might have joined forces with the Jing family and the Qin family to lure him out so that they could kill him. Then, could he beat them at their own game and make a big deal out of it? Then, he could blackmail them and make them give themselves away. However, if he wanted to carry out this plan, he must have a strong backing. Otherwise, he would be killed before the plan could be carried out. At the thought of this, Lu Ming told Lan Shang about Yi Xiang and his plan. Not bad, not bad. This is a good plan. After hearing that, Lan Shang nodded continuously. He looked at Lu Ming with increasing satisfaction. To be able to come up with such a plan in such a short period of time was not something an ordinary person could do. If he wanted to reverse Jing Yu's case, he not only needed strength, he also needed brains. Without brains, he would not be able to go far. All right, let's carry out this plan. Your safety will be in the hands of your Uncle Lan Shu. Blue Merchant smiled confidently. However, if you want to make a big deal out of this, I alone won't be enough. Don't you have a good relationship with the Wu family? You can borrow their strength. Then, Lan Shang reminded him again. All right. Lu Ming nodded his head and discussed the details of the plan with Blue Merchant. Then they left the place. After that, Lu Ming found Wu Ming and Wu Yu and told them about his plan. All right, leave this to us. We'll send a message to young Master Zifeng, Wu Ming said. Immediately, Wu Ming sent a message to Wu Zifeng. Soon, Wu Ming received a reply. Brother Lu, don't worry. The family head has said that he'll help you. If necessary, the family head will do it himself, Wu Ming said. Thank you. Lu Ming was overjoyed. With the help of the Wu family, this plan could be carried out smoothly. Yi Xiang, I'll take your life. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Soaring Cloud District was the largest commercial district in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. The streets were crisscrossed, and there were shops everywhere. A large number of people gathered here, and it was extremely prosperous. The Inn in the Clouds was the largest restaurant in the Soaring Cloud District. It was also a place of romance. The Inn in the Clouds, as its name suggested, floated in the clouds all year round and was very large. Those who drank here would be accompanied by young and beautiful ladies. Moreover, the wine and delicacies were also top-notch. Naturally, it attracted a large number of customers. The Inn in the Clouds had 3 floors and was very large. There were luxurious tables and chairs placed everywhere, and almost all of them were filled with customers. On one of the tables, Yi Xiang was drinking with a few friends. Beside them, there was a beautiful lady accompanying them. Yi Xiang hugged a young lady and his evil claws wandered around her body, causing the lady to giggle. Ha ha ha, come, beauty, have a drink with me. Yi Xiang laughed loudly and raised his wine cup, asking the lady to drink. Since it's young Master Yi Xiang's wine, I won't stand on ceremony. The lady took the wine cup and drank it in one gulp. Good alcohol tolerance. Yi Xiang clapped his hands and praised without restraint. However, from time to time, there would be a sharp glint in the depths of his eyes as he glanced around. Lu Ming, I hope you can appear. Once you appear, it'll be your death. Yi Xiang roared in his heart, and his killing intent was boundless. Previously, he was afraid of Lu Ming and hid in the Winged Man clan. He did not even dare to return to the Starry Camp. This matter had become a joke to him. He hated Lu Ming to the bone. P.S. Readers, I'm the Shepherd Boy Ting Zhu. I recommend a free app that supports downloading, listening to books, 0 advertisements, and multiple reading modes. Chapter 3081. This time, Yixiang swaggered into the soaring cloud area to lure Lu Ming out. Once Lu Ming came out, it would be his death. However, it had been a few days and Lu Ming had yet to appear. This made him anxious. This guy keeps saying that he wants to kill me, but he doesn't dare to appear. He's also a good-for-nothing. Humph, but this good-for-nothing woman is really beautiful. If there's a chance, I must get my hands on that woman and have fun with her. Yixiang had vicious thoughts in his mind. At the thought of Autumn Moon's peerless beauty and perfect expression, there was a raging flame in his eyes. Compared to Autumn Moon, he suddenly felt that the beauty in his arms was simply ordinary. There was no comparison at all. They were heaven and earth. Thud, thud, thud. At this moment, unhurried footsteps could be heard from the staircase. It spread throughout the entire third floor. Many people looked at the staircase curiously. This was the Nine Extremes Heavenly King residence. Even the weakest person was at the virtual god realm. Those who had reached this realm would not have any footsteps. But now, someone was walking with such well-proportioned footsteps. Obviously, it was done on purpose and naturally attracted the attention of others. Soon, a young man appeared from the staircase and walked slowly to the third floor. Lu Ming! Seeing this young man, Yixiang's eyes lit up and he slowly uttered two words. That's right. The young man who walked up from the staircase was Lu Ming. Lu Ming walked up to the third floor step by step. His gaze was fixed on Yixiang. He then stepped forward and a cold murderous intent filled the air and suppressed Yixiang. Yixiang, you're finally not hiding in the winged man family anymore. Very good. Today will be the day you die, Lu Ming said coldly. His voice was icy cold. In the restaurant, many people's hearts were shaken, and a commotion broke out. Who is this guy? He wants to kill Yixiang? Yixiang is the young master of the winged man family. This guy is really audacious. He doesn't want to live anymore. Moreover, Yixiang's cultivation is extremely shocking. Judging from this guy's aura, his cultivation is not high. He wants to kill Yixiang. He's overestimating himself. Just watch, there's going to be a good show. Everyone in the restaurant was discussing animatedly, as if they wanted to watch a good show. How dare you! Brat, what did you say? Before Yixiang could open his mouth, a young man in his 30s suddenly slammed the table and stood up. A berserk aura pressed down on Lu Ming. Half-step Divine King Realm. This young man, who seemed to be in his 30s, was a half-step Divine King. This brat wants to kill young Master Yixiang. Looks like he's tired of living. Another young man at the side said coldly. He looked to be in his 30s. However, these young men were too old to join the Starry Barracks, thus they were unaware of Lu Ming's achievements. Otherwise, they would not dare to speak in such a manner. Lu Ming, you want to kill me? Yixiang said indifferently. He continued to drink his wine with a calm expression. He was waiting for Lu Ming to come, so naturally, he wasn't flustered at all. Nonsense! How dare you touch my Lu Ming's woman? Your ending is already decided, Lu Ming said coldly. Then, he took a step forward, his killing intent becoming even more intense. Swoosh! Suddenly, a young man appeared in front of Lu Ming. His berserk aura pressed down on Lu Ming. I'm talking to you. Can't you hear me? The young man said ferociously. Get lost if you don't want to die, Lu Ming shouted coldly. Brat, what did you say? You're courting death, the young man shouted coldly. He bent his fingers into a claw and clawed at Lu Ming's head. The moment he clawed, the young man's claw turned golden. The claw pierced through the air, producing a terrifying whistling sound. Gene family. Hee hee. Looks like you're trying to lure me out. Lu Ming sneered in his heart and threw out a punch. Roar! Lu Ming's fist let out a dragon's roar. Then, a 9-clawed dragon pounced out and clashed with the young man's claw. In the next moment, the young man let out a miserable shriek. Because his claw had exploded. The 9-clawed dragon did not stop there. It pounced on the young man and tore his body apart with its claw. The young man from Jin family had fallen. There was a brief silence in the restaurant. Many people revealed shocked expressions. They did not expect Lu Ming to be so powerful. He killed a half-step divine king with just a wave of his hand. Lu Ming, how dare you kill someone? You're courting death. Go and kill him together! Yi Xiang shouted angrily. Of course, he was pretending to be angry. He was happy that Lu Ming had killed someone. The people around him were originally sent to their deaths. Lu Ming had killed someone. They had 100 reasons to kill Lu Ming. The Starry Sky Battalion had nothing to say. Kill! Kill this brat! Beside Yi Xiang, another 3 young men roared. Violent auras exploded as they charged towards Lu Ming. The 3 of them did not know about Yi Xiang's plan. When they saw that Lu Ming dared to kill one of their men, they were enraged and charged towards Lu Ming. You're courting death, Lu Ming said indifferently. A long spear appeared in his hand. The long spear trembled and rays of spear light burst out. Puff! 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 The 3 rays of spear light easily destroyed their attacks and pierced through their foreheads. The 3 young experts were killed instantly. Yi Xiang, it's your turn now! Lu Ming stared coldly at Yi Xiang. His long spear trembled and another ray of spear light pierced towards Yi Xiang. At this moment, there was only one young man left beside Yi Xiang. This young man looked to be in his 30s. He had a pair of wings on his back. Like Yi Xiang, he was also a lightning-winged man. At this moment, the young man moved. In a flash, he appeared in front of Yi Xiang. One of his wings swept out like a blade. Boom! The wings slashed onto Lu Ming's spear light and destroyed Lu Ming's spear light. Boom! Then, a violent aura emitted from the young man's body. The restaurant was immediately shrouded by a terrifying pressure. It's a Divine King! Second Divine King realm! Some people exclaimed. This young man was at the second Divine King realm. Indeed, there are experts around him! Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He knew that it wouldn't be easy to kill Yi Xiang this time. Indeed, there were experts around him. Lu Ming, how dare you kill people in broad daylight? This time, even the Starry Sky Camp can't protect you! Yi Xiang finally stood up and shouted at Lu Ming while pointing at him. That's right. You killed people of the Jin family for no reason. You deserve to die. At this moment, a voice came from the 2nd floor. The restaurant in the clouds had 5 floors. The voice came from the 4th floor. Before he finished speaking, a figure flashed and a group of people appeared beside Yi Xiang. The leader wore a golden robe and had a handsome and cold face. He was one of the 4 heroes of the Jin family, Jin Yuan. There were a few middle-aged men beside Jin Yuan. Their auras were as strong as mountains. Chapter 3082. Jin Yuan appeared beside Yi Xiang with a few burly men and stared coldly at Lu Ming. You've finally shown up? Lu Ming said in a low voice, the corners of his lips curling into a cold smile. Seeing Jin Yuan, Lu Ming knew that he had guessed correctly. The other party had set this up on purpose to bait him. Looks like you've been waiting for me here, Lu Ming said indifferently. Lu Ming, you killed the Jin clan's men for no reason and even wanted to kill Yi Xiang. How audacious. What do you think the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence is? Why don't you surrender now? Are you waiting for us to make a move? Jin Yuan shouted coldly with a cold smile. Those men were from the Jin clan, but their talents were average. They were pushed out by the Jin clan to let Lu Ming kill them. Lu Ming killed them first, so no one would say anything if they killed Lu Ming, even if Lu Ming was from the Starry Camp. As expected, Lu Ming had fallen into their trap. Everything was going according to their plan. Jin Yuan, since you're shouting so loudly, then come and take me. Let's see if a loser like you can take me down. Lu Ming looked at Jin Yuan indifferently with a mocking expression. As soon as these words were spoken, it caused the others in the restaurant to be surprised. What does Lu Ming mean? Did he defeat Jin Yuan before? It can't be. Jin Yuan is known as one of the 4 heroes of the Jin clan. He awakened his origin source divine power factor long ago. Can Lu Ming defeat Jin Yuan? It's possible. Otherwise, why would Lu Ming say that? The people in the restaurant discussed animatedly as they looked at Jin Yuan and Lu Ming. Jin Yuan's face was extremely gloomy, and his killing intent was extremely strong. Lu Ming, now is not the time to fight with you alone. You killed the Jin clan's men. It's time for you to pay with your life. Men, take him down! Jin Yuan waved his hand. Boom! Beside Gold Ingot, a burly man stepped out, and a powerful aura erupted from his body. He was a first King God Realm warrior. His aura was as thick as a mountain. His skin glowed with a golden light as if he was made of gold. Boom! The Jin clan's godly kings sent a palm strike towards Lu Ming. The void trembled violently as a violent energy surged towards Lu Ming like a tidal wave. As soon as he made his move, Lu Ming sensed that although this godly monarch of the Jin family had a similar cultivation base as the Dark Knight Demon King, his combat strength was definitely above the Dark Knight Demon King's. In an instant, all of Lu Ming's divine power erupted from his body, and he activated the battle character secret art to quadruple his combat strength. Moon slaying! A low shout came from Lu Ming's mouth. Then, a crescent-shaped spear light violently chopped out. Clang! The crescent-shaped spear light collided with the Jin clan's godly king's palm, creating a dull explosion. At the point of impact, the energy swept out in all directions like a tidal wave. The entire restaurant trembled. However, in the next moment, the walls and floor of the restaurant glowed with colorful lights. Dense runes appeared, blocking the energy waves that spread out in all directions. As the largest restaurant in the Soaring Cloud District, the restaurant in the clouds had an extraordinary background. It was supported by a powerful force, and the entire restaurant was a treasure. It was covered with great arrays, so it wasn't afraid of a great battle. However, the expensive tables and chairs next to the two of them were not protected by great arrays. They were crushed by the energy waves of the two of them. The other people in the restaurant were forced to retreat. However, there were also experts among them. There were quite a few godly kings. They circulated their divine power and blocked the aftershock of Lu Ming's attack. Buzz! The spear in Lu Ming's hand vibrated continuously. A powerful energy surged out, causing Lu Ming's body to float backwards. On the other hand, Godly King's body only swayed slightly before he stabilized himself. Without transforming into his ancient god body, Lu Ming was slightly at a disadvantage in a head-on battle. However, this also shocked the others. Now many people had seen through Lu Ming's cultivation. Lu Ming was only a 6th-layer heavenly god. It was unbelievable that a 6th-layer heavenly god could fight a 1st-layer godly king. Die! After pushing Lu Ming back, the Jin clan's godly king immediately launched a fierce attack. His golden palm broke through the air, attacking Lu Ming like a storm. However, Lu Ming didn't want to face him head-on. He used the 9 Heavens Kunping art. A 9 Heavens Kunping appeared on his body. With a flash, Lu Ming charged towards Yi Xiang. This time, he had to kill Yi Xiang. Whoosh! Lu Ming's speed was astonishing. He charged towards Yi Xiang like a bolt of lightning. Before he arrived, a spear light had already shot towards Yi Xiang. Save me! Yi Xiang was shocked. Beside Yi Xiang, the Winged Men clan's godly king was already prepared. He flapped his lightning wings and slashed towards Lu Ming's spear light like a sharp blade. He shattered Lu Ming's spear light. However, 9 ice chains immediately shot towards Yi Xiang like dancing snakes. You're courting death! The Winged Men clan's godly king roared furiously. He unleashed a powerful aura and his body was covered in lightning. Boom! 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 Bolts of lightning as thick as an arm shot out from his body and bombarded the ice chains. A series of explosions could be heard as the 9 ice chains exploded one after another. In an instant, the 9 ice chains had all exploded and turned into streams of cold air that dissipated into the air. The Winged Men clan's godly king was a 2nd-layer godly king expert. A 2nd-layer godly king was extremely powerful. He was much stronger than a 1st-layer godly king. As the saying went, those with a higher rank could crush a person to death. This sentence was also suitable to describe the godly king realm. In the godly king realm, if one's cultivation base was one layer higher, he would have an absolute advantage. Even a genius with divine grade divine power would find it difficult to fight against someone with a higher rank. Only some monstrous geniuses could do so. Therefore, no matter how tough the ice chains were, they would be shattered by his attack. Die! Then, the Winged Men clan's godly king shouted coldly. He pressed his palm down, and lightning bolts shot towards Lu Ming. However, just as the Winged Men clan's godly king made his move, Lu Ming's body flashed, and he dashed towards the other side. This time, he wasn't going to attack Yi Xiang, but Jin Yuan. Yes, this time, Lu Ming was going to attack Jin Yuan. In reality, the reason he attacked Yi Xiang just now was just a facade. His real target was Jin Yuan. In the process of dashing out, Lu Ming's body swelled rapidly. Lu Ming was transforming into his ancient god body. Strangely, the height of the third floor of the restaurant was only a dozen meters. However, as Lu Ming's body grew rapidly, the height of the restaurant also increased rapidly. In the end, it reached a height of a few hundred meters. Its length and width also increased by a few times. Conflicts often broke out in the restaurant above the clouds. There were even fights between people of different races and different sizes. Therefore, the entire restaurant above the clouds was a treasure. Not only was it covered with formations, but it could also change its size at will. Buzz! After transforming into his ancient god body, Lu Ming's fighting strength skyrocketed. He swept his long spear towards Jin Yuan. Before the long spear reached him, the terrifying energy wave had already caused Jin Yuan's expression to change drastically. Chapter 3083. Void-shattering hand! The Jin family god king who had fought with Lu Ming shouted. His hand glowed as he used the void-shattering hand to attack Lu Ming. Dong! Their attacks collided once again. This time, the shockwaves were even more terrifying as they swept out in all directions. Then, a figure retreated violently, vomiting blood. This time, it was the Jin family god king who retreated. The Jin family god king was in the first layer of the king god realm. Although he was slightly stronger than the Dark Knight Devil King, it was not by much. Before Lu Ming transformed into his ancient god body, he was at a disadvantage. Once he transformed into his ancient god body, his fighting strength completely surpassed his opponent. What? Upon seeing this sight, the crowd widened their eyes in shock. The strength Lu Ming had displayed before was already terrifying. But now, Lu Ming's strength could only be described as shocking. He had injured a god king in one move. After injuring his opponent, Lu Ming continued to step forward. His violent aura swept towards Jin Yuan like a storm. Jin Yuan's face changed drastically, becoming extremely ugly. Lu Ming's ability had improved tremendously compared to when he was in Xingyue Ancient City. This simply made him envious and jealous. Kill! Kill him for me! Let's attack together! Jin Yuan shouted. Kill! Kill! The big men by Jin Yuan's side all roared and attacked at the same time, all of them releasing shocking auras. These men were all in the first layer of the King God realm. Their bodies glowed with golden light as they attacked Lu Ming together. Ice chains! Lu Ming's mind stirred, and the 9 ice chains condensed once again. They danced in front of him, blocking the attacks of the few burly men from the Jin family. The first layer of the King God realm could not break the ice chains. After using the ice chains to block their attacks, Lu Ming stared at one of them and attacked ferociously. Moon slashing! Lu Ming shouted, almost using his full strength. His spear chopped down towards one of the big men. Lu Ming was now using all of his strength to execute the moon beheading strike. How astonishing was its power! It instantly pierced through the big man's defense and split his body in half. A god king had fallen. This was considered Lu Ming's first time relying on his own strength to kill a divine king powerhouse. Back then, although Lu Ming had killed the Night Devil King, it was because of Lu Ming's sneak attack. Furthermore, the Night Devil King was heavily injured and was killed by Lu Ming. Now, Lu Ming was completely relying on his own strength to kill his opponent. How could this be? This scene caused Jin Yuan and the others to be horrified. Kill! Lu Ming let out a long roar. His imposing manner was like a madman. His long spear vibrated madly as it continuously slashed out. In an instant, Lu Ming used the moon's slashing 3 times. 3 crescent-shaped spear lights slashed towards the 3 big men. Although the 3 big men were prepared and did their best to defend, they were still heavily injured. They were sent flying and coughing up blood. For someone like Jin Yuan, his battle strength was enough to fight against a first-layer God King. He could even gain the upper hand. When Lu Ming was in the 5th-layer God realm, he could already crush Jin Yuan. He could even defeat Chu Baxing and the others who were even stronger. Now that Lu Ming had broken through to the 6th-layer God realm, his battle strength was even stronger than when he was in Xinyue Ancient City. It was naturally easy for him to deal with an ordinary first-layer God King. Several First Sky of King God Realm guards were killed or severely wounded. Jin Yuan was so scared that he shuddered and retreated hastily. Jin Yuan, die! Lu Ming said coldly. He took a step forward and pressed his long spear down with the momentum of Mount Tai. Jin Yuan was shocked. Just as he was about to use all of his strength to resist, a figure suddenly rushed over from the other side. He stood in front of Jin Yuan, his body emitting a dazzling golden light. Dong! The person threw out a palm and hit the long spear. Lu Ming felt a powerful force coming from the long spear. His body shook violently and he couldn't help but retreat. 2nd-layer God King! Lu Ming squinted his eyes. The person who had attacked him was also a big man. Without a doubt, he was also an expert from the Jin family. The Jin family also had a 2nd-layer God King in the restaurant. 2nd-layer God King! Ha! Kill! Kill that kid! Jin Yuan screamed hysterically. Just now, he was so frightened by Lu Ming that he almost wet his pants. Young Master Jin Yuan, don't worry. Today, he will die for sure, the expert from the Jin family said coldly. He was like a golden man, extremely dazzling. A 2nd-layer God King was much stronger than a 1st-layer God King. Although Lu Ming could kill a 1st-layer God King, he was definitely not a match for a 2nd-layer God King. A 2nd-layer God King against a 1st-layer God King would definitely be killed instantly. There was no suspense. Bang! The expert from the Jin family, who was in the 2nd heaven of the Divine King realm, took a step forward and dashed toward Lu Ming. He threw out a huge palm print toward Lu Ming, causing the void to tremble violently. It was the same void-shattering hand. However, a 2nd-layer God King was much stronger than a 1st-layer God King. However, Lu Ming didn't dodge. His body flashed, dashing toward his opponent. He's crazy! A thought flashed across many people's minds. They thought that Lu Ming was crazy. Lu Ming's fighting capacity was obviously not a match for a 2nd-layer God King. However, he dared to rush toward his opponent. Wasn't he seeking death? You're courting death! Jin Yuan's eyes flashed ferociously. Die! The 2nd-layer God King of the Jin family shouted and his palm strike became stronger. Chiu-Chiu. At this moment, Lu Ming shouted. Then Chiu-Chiu, who had turned into a bracelet on Lu Ming's wrist, moved. Swoosh! Chiu-Chiu rushed out and turned into a ball. A tentacle extended from its round body and turned into a saber, slashing out. The saber slashed toward the Jin family expert's palm print. The Jin family expert's palm print couldn't withstand a single blow. It was cut in half like a piece of tofu. This scene greatly shocked the Jin family's experts. They were somewhat dumbfounded. His full-powered palm print was extremely powerful. However, it was easily broken by a metal ball. He was stunned and his fate was sealed. Chiu-Chiu dashed toward the Jin family expert like a bolt of lightning. Its saber continued to slash down. Ah! The Jin family expert roared furiously. He had just set up a layer of defense when Chiyochio's saber slashed through it. Swoosh! The Jin family expert's defense was like a piece of paper. His entire body was cut in half and he died on the spot. Chiyochio's strength was terrifying. Even in the King God realm, it could kill opponents with a higher level. Now that Chiyochio had broken through to the second layer God King, it was easy for it to kill someone at the same level. This. Jin Yuan was dumbfounded. His brain turned into paste. He was completely dumbfounded. He had never thought that a second layer God King of the Jin family would be killed just like that. Run! Run! In the next moment, he screamed crazily in his mind. He wanted to retreat and run away. However, how could Lu Ming let him do as he wished? Boom! A huge spear light pressed down on Jin Yuan. Chapter 3084. Lu Ming thrusted out his spear. A giant spear light pressed down on Jin Yuan. At this moment, Jin Yuan was in a state of panic. He hurriedly circulated his energy to block the attack. However, he could not even unleash half of his abilities. In the end, he could only let out a miserable cry before he was blasted apart by Lu Ming's spear gleam. Jin Yuan had fallen. The others in the restaurant took in a cold breath. They were terrified. Big deal. They knew that something big had happened today. Several King God realm warriors of the Jin family had been killed. Now, even Jin Yuan, one of the 4 heroes of the Jin family, had been killed. If the Jin family knew, they would go crazy. At the same time, they were shocked by Lu Ming's power. He had just killed a King God realm warrior of the Jin family. Now, he had killed a second King God realm warrior. Metal life form. It's a metal life form. No wonder I didn't sense any aura before. Some people discussed animatedly. Let's go! At this moment, the second sky of King God realm warrior of the Winged Man clan took Yi Xiang and stormed out of the restaurant through the window. Lu Ming had just killed the Jin family's warriors and Jin Yuan. Yi Xiang was scared out of his wits. The second King God realm warrior didn't dare to linger. He took Yi Xiang and ran away. They had miscalculated. They knew they had miscalculated. They had never thought that Lu Ming would have a terrifying metal life form. Want to run away? Today, you will die together with me! Lu Ming shouted coldly. He took Chiyochio and dashed out of the window. Boom! As soon as they were out of the window, Lu Ming thrusted out his spear. A giant spear light was like a boundless mountain range, pressing down on Yi Xiang and the Winged Men clan's warrior. The air was stirred up, creating a violent sound that alerted the people nearby. Nearby, everyone stopped to watch. Slash! The Winged Men clan's warrior flapped his wings. A sharp light slashed up to the sky, shattering Lu Ming's spear light. However, his speed was also hindered for a moment. His speed was greatly reduced. Chiyochio seized the chance and flew out, catching up with Yi Xiang and the Winged Men clan's warrior. Young master, you go first! The expert from the Winged Men clan roared and turned around abruptly. His pair of wings rapidly enlarged and filled with boundless lightning. Then, the boundless lightning struck towards Chiyochio. However, lightning was completely ineffective against Chiyochio. Chiyochio itself carried a type of terrifying lightning with boundless power, so when these lightning bolts struck Chiyochio, they were directly absorbed by Chiyochio. Chiyochio was not hindered in the slightest. Its figure charged through and then slashed at the Winged Men expert. This person had not expected the lightning to be useless against Chiyochio, and was caught off guard. Puchi! Chiyochio's saber slashed down, and the man was cleaved into 2. Ah! Yi Xiang screamed in fright. Your turn! Lu Ming coldly spoke as he stepped out, rushing towards Yi Xiang. How dare you! You're courting death! At this moment, a few angry roars could be heard from the surroundings. Thereafter, a few terrifying auras spread toward Lu Ming from all directions. Under the pressure of these auras, Lu Ming's body trembled violently as if several divine mountains were pressing down on his body. He almost vomited blood. Then, several figures rushed over with terrifying speed. In a flash, they were beside Yi Xiang. There were 3 of them, 3 big men. One was wearing a golden robe, one had a pair of lightning wings on his back, and one had scales between his eyebrows. One was from the Jin family, one was from the Winged Men clan, and the last one was from the Qin family. These 3 men had been guarding the tower in the clouds. However, Lu Ming had just charged out and Qiuqiu had killed the Winged Men clan's expert. It had happened so fast that these experts did not even have time to react. When the Winged Men clan's expert was killed, they reacted and rushed over, protecting Yi Xiang in the middle. Third King God Realm! Lu Ming's face turned solemn. The 3 of them were the 3rd sky of the King God Realm experts. Their competence was terrifying. With Lu Ming's strength, he would be killed in a second if he faced a 3rd King God Realm expert. Ha ha, they're here! Finally, they're here! Yi Xiang exhaled in relief. Then, he laughed crazily in his heart. His eyes were ferocious. Kill! Kill this brat! He killed Jin Yuan! He killed Jin Yuan! Yi Xiang screamed. What? He killed Jin Yuan? Damn it! When the big man from the Jin family heard the news, he roared furiously. His aura exploded like a volcano. His anger soared to the sky. His murderous aura was extremely cold. His body trembled because of his anger. He gazed at Lu Ming. They had made a mistake. They had made a mistake. They had been guarding the tower in the clouds. They had seen Lu Ming enter the tower in the clouds. They had seen Lu Ming enter the tower in the clouds alone. Thus, they had not followed him. There were several 2nd King God Realm experts, and some 1st King God Realm experts in the tower in the clouds. It was easy for them to deal with Lu Ming. If there had been experts following Lu Ming, they would have entered the tower in the clouds as well. They had never thought that Lu Ming would have a metallic life form with him. The metallic life form was strange. When Lu Ming wore it, it looked like a piece of jewelry. Unless they sensed it carefully, they would not be able to find anything fishy. Thus, they knew they had made a mistake. They had sacrificed Jin Yuan for nothing. Kid, I will grind your bones to dust! The 3rd King God Realm expert of the Jin family roared furiously. His wild aura locked on Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt like a mountain was pressing down on him. He couldn't move. Qiuqiu. Lu Ming sent Qiuqiu a message. Qiuqiu flew back to Lu Ming and turned back into a bracelet. It wrapped itself around Lu Ming's wrist. With Qiuqiu's power, Lu Ming shook his arm and broke the opponent's oppressive aura. However, in the next moment, the Jin family expert took a step forward. He dashed towards Lu Ming like a beam of golden light. His palm turned golden as it slammed down on Lu Ming. A loud explosion resounded in the air. The terrifying energy was like a tsunami. A 3rd King God Realm expert's divine power was extremely shocking. It was much stronger than a 2nd King God Realm expert. Qiuqiu, I'm counting on you! Lu Ming sent a message to Qiuqiu. Don't worry. It's just a 3rd King God Realm expert. Leave it to me! Qiuqiu's voice resounded. Then, its body wriggled, wrapping around Lu Ming's fist. Lu Ming put away his spear and punched out. Creak creak. After Lu Ming punched out, Qiuqiu's body emitted streaks of lightning. Boom! Lu Ming's fist collided with the 3rd King God Realm expert's palm. An earth-shattering explosion resounded. The terrifying shockwave almost blew the tower and the clouds away. Creak creak creak. Qiuqiu's body was covered in lightning. This kind of lightning came from the bronze of the ancient god world. It was ancient and powerful. Lightning flashed and destroyed the Jin family expert's palm. Then, lightning continued to strike the Jin family expert. The 3rd King God Realm expert was hit by a lightning bolt. He trembled and retreated. His body was numb, and he almost vomited blood. Chapter 3085. Lu Ming had defeated the King God Realm expert of the Jin family with a single punch. Yi Xiang was scared to death. Attack! All of you, attack together! Let's kill this kid! Yi Xiang shouted. This kid is evil. Let's attack together! the King God Realm expert of the Jin family said. Boom! Boom! The King God Realm expert of the Wingmen clan and the expert of the Qing family attacked at the same time. 3 King God Realm experts attacked at the same time. Their aura was earth-shattering. At first, some people were watching from the sidelines. Now, they kept retreating as they were afraid of being affected. Someone, come quickly! At this moment, Yi Xiang shouted to the distance. He didn't know why, but he was still not confident. Lu Ming had brought him too much fear. Even though 3 King God Realm experts were protecting him, he still wasn't confident. He knew that there were experts from the 3 aristocratic families guarding the area. There might even be experts stronger than them. These people were used as a precaution. According to the plan, they didn't need to take action. Sending King God Realm experts to deal with a heavenly god was already overboard. Sending experts stronger than that would be a joke. But now, Yi Xiang was panicking. He hoped that more experts would come. Void-breaking hand! 7 injuring divine fist! Thunderbolt slash! While Yi Xiang was hollering, the 3 experts struck at the same time. 3 types of unique skills were directed at Lu Ming. Faced with such an attack, not to mention Lu Ming, who was merely a heaven god, even an ordinary second-tier king god would be beaten to a pulp. However, Lu Ming had Qiuqiu. I'm going to explode! Qiuqiu shouted. Come! Lu Ming shouted in a low voice and threw a punch. Creak, 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 terrifying lightning emitted from Qiuqiu's body. Boundless lightning energy turned into 3 lightning sabers and slashed at the 3 experts. This was Qiuqiu's ultimate attack. Qiuqiu had used all of his strength. Boom! 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 After 3 consecutive explosions, a few screams were heard. Then, the 3 figures retreated. 2 of them fell to the ground after retreating. Their bodies were black and they didn't have any aura. They were dead. 2 of them were directly killed by Qiuqiu. These 2 people were experts from the Jin family and the Qin family respectively. Qiuqiu had used all of its power, bursting out all of its lightning energy. That kind of lightning was too intimidating. It had killed 2/3 King God Realm experts in just 1 strike. Only the God King of the Winged Men race managed to survive. The Winged Men race's God King also controlled lightning, so his resistance to lightning was stronger. Although he didn't die, his body was charred black like charcoal. At the same time, he coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. His aura was extremely weak, and he was half dead. This time, Yi Xiang really nearly pissed his pants. His complexion was deathly pale, and his entire body trembled non-stop. Let's see who will save you this time! Lu Ming took a step forward and arrived beside Yi Xiang. His hand reached out and grabbed at Yi Xiang. No! Father, father, save me! Yi Xiang screamed hysterically. Let go of my young master! At this moment, a long shout came from not far away. That shout pierced through the sky, shaking the entire soaring cloud district. Then, a figure rushed over at a terrifying speed. Before that figure arrived, a terrifying aura had already rushed over like a tidal wave. That aura was several times more intimidating than a 3rd King God Realm expert. Just as Yi Xiang had shouted, the experts who were guarding the area had indeed arrived. Indeed, there are experts here. But it's too late. There was a cold glint in Lu Ming's eyes. He grabbed with his big hand and a violent force crushed Yi Xiang. Yi Xiang could only let out an indignant scream before he turned into ashes in Lu Ming's big hand. You're courting death! The voice that was charging toward him let out a terrifying roar. A ray of terrifying light, along with the power of thunder, slashed toward Lu Ming, intending to kill him. That person was an expert of the Winged Men clan. When he heard Yi Xiang scream, he immediately rushed over. He didn't expect that he would still be 1 step too late. Seeing Yi Xiang being killed, he wished he could crush Lu Ming's bones and scatter his ashes. What a terrifying power! He should be a 4th King God Realm expert. Lu Ming sensed his opponent's power. He deeply understood that his current strength was far from that of an expert. Qiuqiu's body moved rapidly. In the end, it turned into a suit of armor, covering Lu Ming's body. Boom! Lu Ming and Qiuqiu used all of their strength to resist the opponent's attack. After a terrifying explosion, Lu Ming's body was blown away like a cannonball. He flew for hundreds of miles and vomited blood. Cracks appeared on Qiuqiu's armor. Lu Ming felt like his body was about to split open. His body was covered with hideous wounds. Blood kept flowing out. If Qiuqiu hadn't protected him, he would have been smashed into pieces. However, even with Qiuqiu's protection, Qiuqiu's cultivation base was only at the second King God realm. It could kill a third King God realm expert, but it was still not enough to deal with a fourth King God realm expert. Swish! A skinny old man appeared in the sky in front of them. This old man had a pair of lightning wings on his back. Of course, he was an expert of the Winged Men clan. At this moment, his body was trembling because of his anger. Terrifying murderous aura diffused from his body as he stared at Lu Ming. "You killed my young master! Die! Die!" The Winged Men clan's elder roared. His figure dashed towards Lu Ming again. However, at this moment, a figure dashed over from behind Lu Ming. His speed was just as fast. Lu Ming only felt a gust of wind before a figure appeared in front of him. The figure threw out a palm strike and exchanged a blow with the Winged Men clan's elder. In the sky, it was like a planet had exploded. Energy spread everywhere. The Winged Men clan's elder was blown back. The figure in front of Lu Ming also took a few steps back. "Wu family's man, you want to protect this kid?" After the Winged Men clan's elder steadied himself, he roared angrily and stared at the figure in front of Lu Ming. The one who had suddenly appeared in front of Lu Ming was the Wu family's expert. "Young Master Lu Ming, I will protect him," the Wu family's expert said resolutely. "Can you protect them all by yourself?" Not far away, a cold voice sounded. Following that, figures rushed over from all directions. There were at least a dozen of them. They were all middle-aged men or old men. Their auras were thick and terrifying. They were all experts of the fourth King God realm, or above. Lu Ming glanced around and found that there were people from the Jin family, the Qin family, and the Winged Men clan among them. "Haha, the three big families really think highly of me. To kill me, not only did you use the Winged Men clan as bait, but you also sent so many experts. Lu Ming is really honored." Lu Ming's mocking voice arose. Around them, many onlookers understood what was going on. Chapter 3086. The three families' experts all had ugly expressions. This was especially true for the Winged clan and the Jin clan. They had suffered heavy losses this time. Yi Xiang and Jin Yuan had both died. "If we had known this would happen, we would have stayed nearby and killed that brat as soon as he appeared," roared one of the Jin clan's elders. They had only stayed nearby as a precaution. They hadn't thought that things would turn out like this. "Since you want to protect that brat, we'll kill you as well," roared one of the Winged clan's elders. His aura surged, and thunder rumbled. Lu Ming couldn't tell what their cultivation base was. He only felt that they were terrifying. This kind of existence wasn't something he could deal with. They could kill him with a casual wave of their hand. However, Lu Ming had come prepared today. Sure enough, as soon as the Winged clan's elder finished speaking, a voice came from the side. "What arrogance! Let's see who you can kill!" Following that, figures flickered and appeared around Lu Ming. They were all the Wu clan's experts. There were more than 10 of them, and each of them was incomparably powerful. In order to help Lu Ming, the Wu clan had also dispatched a large number of experts. They didn't hesitate to go against the three families. Lu Ming was truly grateful for this. The Wu clan's experts erupted with their auras and confronted the three families' experts. "It seems your Wu clan was prepared," said the Winged clan's elder coldly. The Jin clan and Qin clan's people were also incomparably gloomy. Seeing this scene, they still didn't understand that they had been tricked by Lu Ming. They had tricked Lu Ming, but they had been tricked by Lu Ming instead. Clearly, Lu Ming had long since expected danger and had allied with the Wu clan. He had the Wu clan's experts lie in ambush, ready to help at any time. Could it be that your Wu clan wants to start a war with our three families for this brat? Asked one of the Jin clan's elders coldly. His voice was filled with threat. Then let's start a war. My Wu clan isn't afraid of you, replied a large man from the Wu clan. This time, the Wu clan head had personally given the order to protect Lu Ming's life no matter what. How could they be afraid of the other party's threat? Moreover, the Wu clan, the Jin clan, and the Qin clan had always been at odds with each other. How could the Wu family compromise in front of the Jin family and the Qin family? Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. An old man from the winged men race roared. The wings on his back expanded rapidly, and thunder rumbled. With a flap, he charged towards Lu Ming. However, an expert from the Wu family stepped forward and waved his hand. 10,000 horses galloped forward and condensed into huge war horses that charged towards the expert from the winged men clan. The two of them clashed and exchanged a few moves, but it was difficult to determine the victor. Kill! Kill! The other experts of the three clans made their moves too, unleashing their cultivation and charging toward Lu Ming. Protect young Master Lu Ming. An old man of the Wu family gave the order. Immediately, more than a dozen experts from the Wu family formed a wall, blocking Lu Ming behind them as they fought against the experts of the three clans. Immediately, the entire area boiled over. Terrifying auras filled the air, emitting destructive power. With so many divine king experts fighting, this kind of power was enough to threaten the safety of a life star. However, this was the nine extinction heavenly king residence. As everyone fought and their auras reached a certain level, lines of incomparably thick runes appeared on the ground. These runes were incomparably thick, like a divine dragon. They intertwined on the ground, forming a great formation to protect the safety of the planet. In a place like the Nine Extinction Heavenly King residence, the entire planet had already been set up with a great formation. Otherwise, with so many experts in the Nine Extinction Heavenly King residence, a great battle was unavoidable. Without the Great Formation's protection, the entire planet would have been destroyed long ago. With the Great Formation's protection, the power of the battle was completely absorbed by the Great Formation. Both sides fought fiercely, but the experts of the Wu family were wholeheartedly protecting Lu Ming. They did not ask for merit, but only wanted to avoid mistakes. The other party could not kill Lu Ming even if they wanted to. After a few dozen moves, the experts of the three clans retreated, their faces gloomy. Good, very good. Lu Ming killed my Wing clan's young master Yixiang. Let's see how your Wu family will protect him. Send a message to the patriarch, report this matter to him. A Wing clan elder roared. Young Master Jin Yuan has been killed. Send a message to the patriarch. A Jin family expert also spoke. Then, the Qin family's experts also sent a message to the Qin family's patriarch. The Wu family's experts' faces changed. This matter was already out of their control. Now, they could only send the news to the Wu family's patriarch. Everyone sent messages to each other, and then confronted each other. Could it be that the various patriarchs are coming? The surrounding onlookers were dumbfounded. They did not expect things to develop to this point. They continued to retreat, increasing the distance between them to avoid being affected. Time passed second by second. Suddenly, an oppressive aura came from the west. When this aura swept over, many people felt that it was difficult to breathe. Before anyone could react, a terrifying pressure surged over from that direction. It was like an ant facing a tsunami that was hundreds of meters high. Rumble. The pressure became stronger and stronger. Some of the weaker cultivators could not help but vomit blood. Everyone looked in that direction in horror. It seemed that there was a terrifying giant beast flying over. Someone is coming! Someone suppressed his fear and whispered. Then, everyone saw a middle-aged man from the winged men walking over from that direction. This person seemed to be walking very slowly, step by step. But with each step, endless distance passed under his feet. In a few breaths, this person appeared in the sky. That incomparably terrifying pressure was being emitted from this person. This subordinate greets the patriarch. When the Wing clan's experts saw this middle-aged man, They quickly bowed respectfully. Many people were shocked. This person was actually the patriarch of the Winged Clan. The Winged Clan was a powerful clan in the nigh-extinction Heavenly King Palace. The patriarch of the Winged Clan was definitely an overlord in the nigh-extinction Heavenly King Palace. His strength was unfathomable. Such a person had personally come today. The patriarch of the Winged Clan swept his gaze across the scene. His eyes were incomparably cold. He said, "Isyang has been killed." Although his voice was calm, anyone could tell that it contained a terrifying killing intent. "Yes, yes," an old Winged Clan's expert replied while trembling. "Who killed him?" the patriarch of the Winged Clan asked. "Him, Lu Ming." The old Winged Clan's expert pointed at Lu Ming. "A bunch of trash," the patriarch of the Winged Clan scolded. The experts of the Winged Clan lowered their heads, not daring to breathe. Chapter 3087. The Winged Family's patriarch turned to Lu Ming, his eyes flickering with killing intent. He knew he had miscalculated. He had actually been schemed against by a junior, and his own son had been killed. It could be said that he had given Yi Xiang to Lu Ming to be killed. "Xiang, father will definitely get revenge for you," the Winged Family's patriarch muttered to himself. Then his powerful aura surged toward the Wu family's experts. "All of you scram, and I can spare your lives," shouted the Winged Family's patriarch. "Winged Family's patriarch, my Wu family will protect young Master Lu Ming." One of the Wu family's men clenched his teeth. Although they didn't have the slightest chance of victory against the Winged Family's patriarch, they still had to do what the patriarch had told them to do, even if they had to pay with their lives. "Since you want to protect him, then I'll send you all on your way." The Winged Family's patriarch's voice was incomparably cold, emitting killing intent. "Yi Kuang, what arrogance! Let's see how you'll kill him!" At this moment, a cold voice rang out from behind Lu Ming's group. As soon as he finished his words, another person appeared behind Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming looked over and saw a large man in embroidered robes. His appearance was a bit similar to Wu Zifeng, but he was even more imposing. "Patriarch!" Seeing this large man, the Wu family's people were delighted and hastily bowed. Lu Ming's heart shook. So this person was the Wu family's patriarch. He was in existence on the same level as the Winged Family's patriarch. He was one of the overlords of the nigh-extinction Heavenly King Mansion. Junior Lu Ming greets the Wu family's patriarch. Lu Ming also cupped his fists and bowed. "Haha, there's no need to be so courteous." The Wu family's patriarch laughed and waved his sleeve. A surge of energy lifted up Lu Ming. "Wu Hani!" the head of the Winged Man clan whispered when he saw the head of the Wu clan. His eyes turned cold. "Yi Kuang, as the patriarch of a family, are you bullying my Wu family because we have no one to fight? Come, come, if you want to fight, I'll accompany you." The head of the Wu family was very domineering. He took a step forward and appeared in front of Lu Ming and the others, facing the head of the Winged Man family. Boom! Frightening auras burst forth from the two of them. As their auras clashed, the entire sky within a radius of 1,000,000 li began to tremble violently, as though it was about to collapse. In the middle of the clash of their auras, the void was distorted. Strong Qi whistled as if it was about to turn into chaos. The surrounding people retreated again and again, their faces filled with fear. "How terrifying! Is this the strength of a family head? Too shocking! I've heard that the clan head's cultivation has reached the pinnacle of the God King realm, allowing him to look down on the other God Kings. Now that I've seen it for myself, it seems like the rumors are true." Some of the more powerful God Kings muttered in shock. Peak of the Divine King realm, this was the cultivation of the Wing clan and Wu clan's patriarchs. They looked down on all divine kings and were incomparably powerful. Such a cultivation was extremely rare even in the entire 9 absolute Heavenly King manor. They were the overlords of a region. In the 9 absolute Heavenly King mansion, although there were existences above the Divine King realm, those existences were extremely rare and rarely took action. Therefore, if those existences did not take action, the pinnacle of the Divine King realm would be considered as a pinnacle expert. Now, such a figure was going to take action? The auras of the two of them were getting stronger and stronger as they continued to clash in the void. Violent explosions resounded in the sky. Boom! Suddenly, an equally frightening aura surged forth from another direction. That aura mixed with the head of the Winged Man family's aura and pressed down on the head of the Wu family. A terrifying explosion resounded. The head of the Wu family's face changed, his body trembled slightly and involuntarily retreated a few steps. In the distance, a golden light rapidly arrived. With a few flickers, it appeared beside the head of the Winged Man family. That person's entire body was covered in golden light. His aura was terrifying, not the slightest bit inferior to the head of the Winged Man family and the head of the Wu family. Greetings to the head of the family. At the scene, the experts of the Jin family quickly saluted. Everyone's heart shook once again. Another clan head had arrived. Today, there would be a great show to watch. After the head of the Jin family arrived, his gaze swept across the crowd and landed on Lu Ming. His eyes contained shocking, killing intent. He had already received news that Jin Yuan had been killed by Lu Ming. Of the four most talented people of the Jin family's younger generation, two of them had actually been killed by Lu Ming. His heart was filled with monstrous fury. Wu Hani, this brat killed many of my Jin family's heavenly geniuses. He even killed Brother Yi's son. He has committed a heinous crime and must be executed, said the head of the Jin family coldly. His voice was filled with killing intent. What if I say no? Asked the head of the Wu family. If you say no, I'm afraid you won't be able to protect him by yourself, said the head of the Jin family. His entire body was like a golden sun. His terrifying aura made it difficult for everyone to breathe. That's right. If you want to protect him, then we can only kill you first. I believe the Heavenly King won't blame us. At this moment, another voice rang out. This voice didn't come from the head of the Winged Man family or the head of the Jin family. It came from another person. Just as he finished speaking, another figure suddenly appeared on the other side. This was also a middle-aged man. He was extremely handsome, and there was a scale between his eyebrows that made him look rather sinister. Greetings, family head! The people of the Jin family immediately bowed. Everyone's hearts shook once again. The head of the Jin family had also arrived. Another peak divine king had arrived. Normally, such people were rarely seen. Many people wanted to greet them, but they didn't expect four of them to come today. Haha, Brother Qin, you've also come. The head of the Winged Man family smiled, then looked at the head of the Wu family and said, Wu Hani, let's see how you're going to protect him now. The head of the Wu family frowned, his expression somewhat ugly. He didn't expect that the heads of the three great families would all come. If it was just one of them, he wouldn't be afraid. But if two of them attacked together, he definitely wouldn't be a match. If three attacked together, he would definitely die. At this moment, even if he wanted to protect him, he was powerless. I didn't expect that the heads of the three great families would all come out for a junior. Truly laughable, sneered the head of the Wu family. The heads of the three great families also had ugly expressions. Today, they had appeared, and the three great families would definitely lose face. Since they had already lost face, then they definitely couldn't let Lu Ming go. Wu Hani, I'll give you one more chance. Hand over that brat, or I'll kill you as well. The head of the Winged Man family coldly shouted. His aura became even more oppressive. Lightning covered his entire body, making him look like a god of lightning. The head of the Wu family frowned. The current situation really made it difficult for him to back down. Ha ha ha, I, Lu Ming, am truly honored to trouble three peak divine kings to personally come. Even if I die, it's worth it. At this moment, Lu Ming laughed, then stepped forward and arrived beside the head of the Wu family. Wu family head, many thanks for your good intentions. But today's matter, let this junior deal with it himself. Lu Ming cupped his fist towards the head of the Wu family. Chapter 3088. Why don't you let me deal with it myself? Lu Ming's voice spread across the entire place. Many people were stunned. Wouldn't it be a dead end if they let him deal with it himself? Seems like he knows that he's going to die, so he's going all out. He doesn't want to implicate the Wu family, so he's going to die. Seems like he's quite loyal. Some people discussed. Very well, kid. Kill yourself and I'll leave your corpse intact, the winged man family's patriarch said coldly. Unless it was a last resort, he really didn't want to kill a heavenly god junior. It would be a disgrace if word got out. Kill myself? Why should I kill myself? Lu Ming curled his lips slightly and said, Since I came to the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion, I've been secretly ambushed. After coming to the Starry Sky Camp, I've been troubled by the few of you. You're always trying to kill me. I've always been curious as to why you're targeting me and trying to kill me. Now I understand. At this point, Lu Ming paused for a moment and then said loudly, That's because you guys are the masterminds behind the theft of the 9 Ju Divine Crystal. I have evidence of you guys on me. Therefore, you guys are always trying to kill me and snatch the evidence from me. You're not even afraid of being embarrassed. You even took action personally, right? What? There's such a thing? Many people were shocked by Lu Ming's words and they were shocked. Some people even looked at the people from the 3 major families with suspicion in their eyes. It was no secret that the 9 Extinction Divine Crystal was stolen by the people from the Qin Tian Star Field. Only those with brains could guess that there must be a spy in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. Otherwise, how could the people from the Qin Tian Star Field steal the 9 Extinction Divine Crystal? The key point was, who was the spy? They couldn't find a clue. Now that Lu Ming said that, everyone couldn't help but suspect that the spy was really the Jin family, the Qin family, or the Winged Man family. The patriarchs of the 3 major families' faces changed. This was a serious crime. If it was true, even the 3 major families couldn't escape the blame. Little brat, what nonsense are you talking about? The Winged Man family's patriarch shouted, his aura violent. I'll kill you. The head of the Jin family became even more violent. He stepped out and was about to kill Lu Ming. Do you want to kill me and destroy the evidence? Lu Ming shouted. Hearing this, the Jin clan head stopped abruptly. His face was extremely cold, and the murderous intent in his eyes grew stronger. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. However, at this moment, he really couldn't kill Lu Ming. Once he killed Lu Ming, wouldn't it confirm Lu Ming's words? Nonsense. Do you know what kind of crime it is to slander us? The head of the Jin family said coldly. Don't you know in your heart whether or not you have slandered me? Lu Ming was not afraid at all. His voice spread throughout the entire arena. This caused the Wing Nation clan's patriarch and Qin clan's patriarch to feel somewhat bewildered. Among them, the head of the Jin family wanted to kill Lu Ming the most. Could it be that what Lu Ming said was true? That the Jin family was really a mole and deliberately dragged them down? The head of the Jin family glanced at the faces of the Wing Nation clan's patriarch and Qin clan's patriarch. How could he not know what they were thinking? The anger in his heart burned even more fiercely. Little brat, you said that you have evidence to prove who was the mole who stole the 9 Extinction Divine Crystal. Well, now take it out. Take out the evidence. The head of the Jin family said loudly and stared at Lu Ming. That's right. Take out the evidence. If you're talking nonsense, I'll make you beg for death. The head of the Wing Nation clan also shouted. Both of them looked as if they had a clear conscience. This made Lu Ming feel somewhat bewildered. Could it be that these families were really not the mole who stole the 9 Extinction Divine Crystal? Or were they just putting up a front? Well, if you want to see it, I'll show it to you, Lu Ming said loudly. His voice spread far and wide. When Lu Ming's voice fell, a rainbow light flashed in the sky. Then, a figure appeared beside Lu Ming. This figure was none other than Blue Merchant. This was something that Lu Ming and Blue Merchant had discussed long ago. When the time was right, Blue Merchant would appear and show the projection to the public. Blue Merchant, it's you! Seeing Blue Merchant, the heads of the Jin family, Wing Nation clan, and Qin clan couldn't help exclaiming. Obviously, they all knew the Blue Merchant. What? Surprised to see me? Blue Merchant said indifferently. Who is this kid to you? Why are you protecting him? The head of the Jing family asked coldly. Blue Merchant used to be Jing Yu's teacher. In the entire Taishu dynasty, he was a high and mighty figure. His status was much higher than the heads of the three families. But now, they didn't need to be afraid of Blue Merchant at all. He was just a demoted person. Lu Ming? He's my son-in-law. Can't I? Blue Merchant said indifferently. Huh! Many people were stunned. Lu Ming was Blue Merchant's son-in-law? Lu Ming touched his nose and was speechless. Did this guy really want to sell his daughter to him? He actually said that Lu Ming was his son-in-law in public. However, under such circumstances, Lu Ming couldn't deny it. He could only keep quiet. The evidence you want is in my hands. Then, Blue Merchant added. Many people's eyes fell on Blue Merchant. Did Blue Merchant really have the evidence of the 9 extinction divine crystal being stolen? If so, it was definitely a big deal. Everyone was curious. Then take it out, the head of the Jing family said. His face was calm and there was no unusual expression. Lu Ming and Blue Merchant were a little confused. The other party was so calm. Could it be that they guessed wrongly? Or was he really putting up a strong front? At this point, there was no way out. It all depended on who could keep their composure. Of course we have to take it out. However, this is a big deal. Before we take out the evidence, I want the Heavenly King Divine Guards to come and be witnesses, Blue Merchant said. Heavenly King Divine Guards. Some people's faces changed. The Heavenly King Divine Guards were a group of guards under the direct command of the 9 extinction Heavenly King. They were all extremely powerful and had great power. They were in charge of enforcing the law. If anyone was found to be the spy who stole the 9 extinction divine crystal, the Heavenly King Divine Guards could directly enforce the law and destroy the culprit. Blue Merchant wanted to put pressure on the other party. If the three families really had spies, they would most likely lose their composure and be blackmailed. As the saying goes, those who confess will be lenient. Those who resist will be punished severely. If they confess first, they might be dealt with lightly. That was the human heart. Blue Merchant and Lu Ming's plan was to use strong pressure to blackmail the other party into revealing themselves first. Okay, then let's invite the Heavenly King Divine Guards. The head of the Winged Man family spoke first. I agree too. Then, the head of the Qin family followed. I agree too. Finally, the head of the Jin family nodded. Lu Ming and Blue Merchant looked at each other in confusion. Could it be that they were mistaken? The spy was not one of the three families. Chapter 3089. All right, let's invite the Heavenly King Divine Guards, Blue Merchant said loudly. Then the Wu family and the 3 major families sent people to invite the Heavenly King Divine Guards. Everyone waited quietly. Not long after, there were streaks of rainbow light flying over from afar. As the rainbow light faded, a group of figures appeared in the sky. A few of them were from the 3 major families and the Wu family. There were more than 10 middle-aged men in purple gold armor. Their auras were as heavy as a mountain. Especially the leader. His aura was violent like a war god. He was extremely terrifying. His aura was as strong as the patriarch's. Obviously, he was also a peak divine king. Commander Wang! Long time no see, Commander Wang! Seeing this person, the Jin family patriarch and others greeted him. Commander Wang nodded and said, You said that there is evidence of the 9 extinction divine crystal being stolen. Where is the evidence? Lan Shang said it, he said he has evidence. The Winged Man family patriarch said. Commander Wang looked at Blue Merchant and was slightly surprised. He said, Blue Merchant, you have evidence? That's right. Lan Shang nodded, and then a simple and unadorned axe appeared in his hand. This is my son-in-law, Lu Ming. He obtained the storage ring of the Dark Knight Demon King in a place called Demon Capital Mountain in Chutian Star Field. There is this axe in it. A projection is sealed in this axe. It records how the people of the Qin Tian Star area colluded with the spies of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion through the Dark Night Devil to steal the Nine Extinction Divine Crystal. Blue Merchant said loudly. Then open it and take a look, Commander Wang said. Blue Merchant glanced at the Jin family patriarch, the Wingman family patriarch and the Qin family patriarch. He found that the three of them were just staring at him with bright eyes. They did not show any fear or uneasiness. Blue Merchant frowned. A thought flashed through his mind. Perhaps the three families were not the traitors. However, at this time, the projection could only be made public. All right. Blue Merchant nodded and then formed a seal. The axe glowed, and the projection of Lu Ming that he had seen last time appeared again. Everyone stared at it without blinking. Soon, they finished watching the contents of the projection. It's really the people from Qin Tian Star Field who stole the Nine Extinction God crystal. And there really is a spy. However, those spies were all wrapped in black robes, and I couldn't see their faces clearly. Furthermore, they didn't reveal which force they were from. But I've finally found the Nine Extinction Godly crystal. After seeing the projection, the scene fell into an uproar. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Is this your evidence? Although they had found the whereabouts of the Nine Extinction God crystal, who was the spy? I don't know. The head of the Jin family sneered. That's right. This brat dares to slander our three great clans. How audacious! The head of the Winged Person clan shouted coldly, his aura ice cold. Brat, let me tell you. I want to kill you because you killed my Jin family's geniuses. Today, you must pay with your life. The head of the Jin family shouted coldly and took a step forward. His violent aura soared to the sky and his killing intent was as cold as a knife. Now, he could finally take action without any scruples. That's right. You killed my son. You must pay with your life. The head of the Winged Person clan flapped his wings and thunder rumbled like a thunder god. As for the head of the Qin family, his figure flashed and his aura locked onto the head of the Wu family to prevent him from intervening. Ridiculous. The Jin family has targeted me repeatedly and tried to kill me. Can I resist and kill back? And Xiang, in the Starfield ancient city, he targeted my wife and almost killed her. Can't I take revenge? Lu Ming laughed. He was fearless facing the heads of the major clans. I don't care what reason you have. Since you killed my Jin family's people, you must die. The head of the Jin family shouted domineeringly. His body was covered with dazzling golden light. He stretched out a palm and formed a golden palm, grabbing at Lu Ming. The palm was huge and boundless, covering a part of the void with a terrifying aura. Lu Ming realized that he couldn't move his body at all. His body seemed to be sealed and he couldn't even blink his eyes. In the face of a divine king, Lu Ming was too weak, like an ant. Stop! The head of the Wu family shouted and wanted to help. However, the head of the Qin family released his aura and locked onto the head of the Wu family. As long as the head of the Wu family made a move, the head of the Qin family would also release a thunderous attack. The head of the Wu family couldn't make a move at all. That kid called Lu Ming is dead meat. It's a pity that a generation's genius provoked the heads of the three major clans. There's no hope for him. Many people sighed. At the side, Commander Wang and the rest of the Heavenly King Divine Guards had no intention of intervening. The golden palm was about to grab Lu Ming. If it hit, Lu Ming would die no matter how strong he was. The gap between them was too big. However, at this moment, a sword light flashed and slashed at the golden palm. Boom! The sword light slashed on the golden palm and a violent explosion erupted. Then, the sword light and the golden palm collapsed and disappeared. The head of the Jin family narrowed his eyes and looked at the Blue Merchant. Just now, it was the Blue Merchant who attacked. You want to kill him? Have you asked for my permission? The Blue Merchant said indifferently. He took a step forward and landed in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body suddenly relaxed. The pressure that the head of the Jin family exerted on him disappeared without a trace. Huff. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. He realized that his body was drenched in cold sweat. Facing someone like the head of the Jin family, he was under too much pressure. More importantly, he couldn't resist at all. Blue Merchant, you want to intervene? The head of the Jin family said coldly. Of course, he is my son-in-law. Do you think I will watch him be killed? The Blue Merchant said indifferently. Hee, what can you do if you don't watch? Do you still think you are the Blue Merchant of the past? The teacher of the rebellious Jingyu? That's all in the past. Back then, your star core was destroyed. What do you have to stop me? The head of the Jin family sneered with slight disdain. What? His star core was destroyed? Lu Ming was shocked. This was the first time he heard of this. It turned out that Blue Merchant's star core was destroyed. After breaking through to the Divine King realm, the divine fire would condense into a star core. The star core was the core of a cultivator. It was no wonder that Blue Merchant, as Jingyu's teacher, was not sealed. Instead, he was allowed to be free. What kind of trouble could a person with a destroyed star core cause? Even if my star core is destroyed, it is enough to deal with people like you. The Blue Merchant smiled faintly, looking very confident. Arrogant. Then let me see what kind of ability you, the person who was called the Imperial Preceptor in the past, have. The head of the Jin family said coldly. He took a step forward and his aura exploded. Chapter 3090. The Jin family head's aura exploded, emitting a dazzling golden light. Then, he slammed his palm toward Blue Merchant. Boom! The void trembled and exploded continuously. The scene was terrifying to the extreme. Peak God King experts really had the power to destroy the heavens and earth, and even a life planet. Once they attacked, it was too terrifying. Facing a person with a crippled star core, he used a terrifying killing move right off the bat. He wanted to thoroughly kill Lan Shang. However, in the face of this attack, Lan Shang's expression was calm. The center of his brows glowed, and a resplendent light gushed out, forming runes. These runes intertwined with each other, forming a battle sword. The battle sword pierced through the air and slashed out, stunning the world. Boom! The battle sword collided with the Jin family head's void-shattering palm, and an earth-shattering explosion erupted. Buzz! The battle sword vibrated continuously. An endless sword she slashed toward the Jin family head. The Jin family head's body shook violently, and he retreated like a meteorite. He retreated a few thousand miles, and his face was ugly. He was repelled by a person with a crippled star core. Soul power! How can your soul be so powerful? The Jin family head shouted angrily. Just now, Blue Merchant did not use divine power, but soul power. However, how could a person's soul power be so powerful? To be able to repel a peak divine king. So what if I don't have divine power to deal with you? Blue Merchant said indifferently. I don't believe it. Void-shattering palm and void-shattering sword. The Jin family head roared, and he used both of his ultimate skills. The golden battle sword pierced through the air, and the golden palm slashed toward Blue Merchant like a heavenly blade. The two types of attacks were aimed at Lan Shang's two vital points. The power of their attacks was shocking. The void-shattering palm and void-shattering sword were both used, but the Jin family head's attacks were 108,000 times stronger than Jin Yuan's. However, Blue Merchant remained calm. His glabella shone, and his soul power surged out, forming runes. Then, it turned into a battle sword, and he slashed out a few times. Clang! Clang! The two of them exchanged a few more blows, but the result was that the Jin family's patriarch was completely suppressed. He kept retreating, and the golden light on his body dimmed. With his hands behind his back, Blue Merchant stepped out, revealing his peerless elegance. Don't all of you want to attack? Then let's attack together! Blue Merchant's voice rang out, and countless runes transformed into a huge palm that grabbed at the winged race's patriarch. He wanted to fight one against two. A person with a crippled star core was going to fight two peak divine kings at the same time. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe. The clan leader of the winged clan let out a long howl. With a flap of his wings, thunder rumbled and boundless thunderbolts blasted towards the giant hand formed by the blue merchant. But when the palm pressed down, endless lightning was annihilated. The terrifying palm energy sent the winged race's patriarch flying. Dong! Then, blue merchant stepped out, and the void trembled crazily. Endless runes condensed into two giant hands. One blasted towards the clan leader of the Jin family, and the other blasted towards the clan leader of the winged race. The leaders of the two clans screamed and used all of their strength to fight back. However, even if the two of them joined forces, they were still no match. They were completely suppressed. After a few moves, the two patriarchs were hit by the giant hand, and their bodies were thrown thousands of miles away. Their bodies trembled, and they vomited blood. They were severely injured. Many people at the scene gasped, looking at the figure standing in the void with his hands behind his back. They were filled with shock and disbelief. A person with a crippled star core was able to severely injure two patriarchs with just his soul power. What kind of combat strength was that? If his star core was not crippled, how strong would he be? Everyone seemed to be able to see Blue Merchant's unparalleled glory in the past. Back then, Jingyu had appeared out of nowhere. His talent was unparalleled and rarely seen in the world. At a young age, he rose to power and became the top expert of the Taishu dynasty, suppressing the other princes and even the crown prince. At that time, Jingyu's teacher was also peerless and unparalleled in the world. His strength was unfathomable. At that time, many people thought that Jingyu would become the ruler of the Taishu dynasty in the future, and become the sacred emperor of the Taishu dynasty. Therefore, Blue Merchant was called the Imperial Preceptor. Originally, so many years had passed since Lan Shang's planet core had been destroyed. Many people had almost forgotten about this person, thinking that he would fall silent and disappear forever in the long river of history. They never thought that Blue Merchant's soul power would be so terrifying. Lu Ming is under my protection. How are you going to kill him? Blue Merchant stared at the clan leader of the Jin family, and said disdainfully. Damn it! The clan leader of the Jin family, and the clan leader of the winged race roared in their hearts. Both of their families had existences surpassing the God King realm, but there were very few of them. They were all old antiques who had lived for a long time and were in seclusion. If they were to invite such people to deal with a heavenly god realm junior, they would be laughed at. Today, with Blue Merchant here, they really couldn't kill Lu Ming. Commander Wang, this Lu Ming killed many of our Jin family's experts in broad daylight, as well as the winged race and Jin family's experts. Such a lunatic, he must be punished. The clan leader of the Jin family suddenly turned to the commander of the Heavenly Divine Guards and said with cupped fists, That's right. My son Yixiang was also killed by this person when he was drinking here. He must pay with his life. The clan leader of the winged race also said, They couldn't deal with Blue Merchant, so they could only ask for help from the Heavenly Divine Guards. The Heavenly Divine Guards were responsible for guarding the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Manor, and this place was also within the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Manor. The Heavenly Divine Guards naturally had the right to intervene. Commander Wang frowned, looked at Lu Ming and said, Is there such a thing? We tried to kill me many times before, and Yixiang almost killed my wife. I'm just taking revenge. Lu Ming said. Bullshit, it's all nonsense. All of this is nonsense from him. When did my Jin family want to kill him? He's the one who tried to frame us. He even slandered us that we're the spies who stole the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Manor. The clan leader of the Jin family shouted, completely pushing away the matter of wanting to kill Lu Ming. As the head of a family, how could he say such words? How shameless! Lu Ming mocked. The clan leader of the Jin family's face was gloomy and said, A life for a life. Commander Wang, please enforce the law. As long as the Heavenly Divine Guards intervened, it was useless no matter how strong Blue Merchant was. The Heavenly Divine Guards were full of experts, and there were even existences that surpassed the God King realm. Although Blue Merchant was strong, he had not reached the level of surpassing the God King realm. If that's the case, Lu Ming, you'll have to come with us. Commander Wang looked at Lu Ming. Wait. At this moment, the clan leader of the Wu family's voice sounded. Clan leader of the Wu family, do you have something to say? Commander Wang said. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.